the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
It is a special edition of the Annie Fry Show today. My name is Mike Elam, sitting in for Annie today. Ryan Wiggins is here. Ethan is on the other side of the board. Brad is with Annie. They went flying, about a half hour or so ago with the Blue Angels?
As far as I know, they would be either done now or finishing up now.
So they could be on the side of a runway getting rid of whatever was on their stomach before they took off.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff.
It's kind of that. So I watched the Blue Angel documentary. Have you seen that?
No.
It's really cool. So I want to say it's on Netflix, but it could be on something else. So if you just search Blue Angels documentary, it runs you through the whole thing. So they turn the crew over every couple of years. So in that documentary, they introduced who is what's called the boss. So the boss is the guy who heads up the Blue Angels task force. And they have a whole crew. You know, there's four main pilots who fly that you see in the formation a lot of times, like when they do that Blue Angel Diamond. But there are two other pilots that are with them. So six total that kind of do the normal show. And then they've got, what do they call it? The Fat Albert, which is this big C-130 that transports the crew and all of the stuff that they have. I want to say, man, memory is failing me at the moment. I'm having a Joe Biden moment. I want to say there's like 130 total that's part of the Blue Angel crew. It may be less than that, but that's what it takes for everybody to get together. And they go through all of this training, and it's amazing. I mean, it is Top Gun on steroids. And Blue Angels are U.S. Navy, if you don't know. The Thunderbirds are the Air Force version of this. So I think they have one Marine Corps pilot, and the rest are Navy pilots. But they're all, the Marines love it when you bring up the fact that the Marines are actually a Department of the Navy. If you want to watch a Marine lose his mind, just tell him that he's part of the Department of Navy, and he loves that part. I got to play in both worlds because I was a Navy corpsman, and I got assigned to the Marine Corps. So I was always cool with the Marines, but most sailors are not cool with Marines. Or should I say, most Marines are not cool with sailors, but we're all part of the same budget. As it works out that way. So I'm really curious to hear how that's going to go. And I guess our poll question of the day is, would you ever fly with the Blue Angels? Isn't that our question of the day?
Yes, that is exactly what it is.
So our YouTube live chat poll of the day, you can log on and go check that out. Hey, by the way, I forgot to do this. My name's Mike Elam. So I should probably have done that at the very top, right? This is what happens when you bring amateurs in.
If they don't know by the voice,
if you don't know,
then there's a problem.
There's always new people listening to 97.1 FM Talk. So if you didn't know, my name is Mike Elam. I get the opportunity to come sit in with these radio professionals from time to time, and I am very honored to have this option to come in. I am a county councilman in St. Charles County. I've been out there. I've been on the county council since 2013. I can't believe it's been that long. That was quick that we just ended up. But there's new elections that are going on this year. Thank God I am not part of them. Everybody is talking about Trump Biden, right? That's kind of the whole show.
That's the headline.
It really is.
I think it's safe to say that is, if you tune in to 97.1 for any amount of time, you're going to hear about that story.
I find it amazing of sitting here today after the last 8 years. If you don't know who you're voting for at this point, what are you looking for?
You know what's funny? A few years ago, and it's more true now than ever, but I think Saturday Night Live did this about, I would guess it was 2012 is my guess. They did a sketch that was really funny.
A Saturday Night Live sketch. It was really funny.
I know I had to lead with that because I don't
explains why you remember it from 2012.
I don't get to say that very often, but it was very funny. And the topic was, what do swing voters think about this election?
In 2012.
In 2012.
Which was Romney and Obama.
Correct. And they would, as a bunch of cast members, but they were playing Man on the Street. They would walk up to this random, quote unquote, man on the street and ask, what is it that you're thinking about as a swing voter. And they'd say, well, what is an election? You know, like it was such ridiculous stuff. And that's why it was funny, because if you're a swing voter and you haven't decided yet, it's almost shocking that you could be in that place even back then, let alone now.
Well, I mean, you have known who both these guys are.
Yes.
Literally for the last 50 years. Now, Biden has been in politics for 50, Trump only for the last 8. But before that, I mean, when I was a kid in the 70s, I knew who Donald Trump was. He was the playboy, millionaire, billionaire guy, because everybody was millions back then. We weren't billions yet, I guess. But I remember all that stuff. And I remember as a kid, now I didn't know a lot about what it was, but Studio 54 and all the things with disco and drugs and coke and all that stuff, late 70s, early 80s, that world. Trump was a player back then.
You know what's weird, though, is that he's never been a drug guy.
And he doesn't even drink.
He was always in the scene, though.
He was always the popular guy to be with. And I think that's probably why he survived this long, is he never was a drug guy.
Yeah.
So he never got in. I mean, he doesn't drink. He doesn't do drugs. He has a very colorful female partner history, shall we say. That's the nicest way I could think to put that.
Yeah, very well put.
I mean, I know of at least 3 exes. Well, is it 3? Or is his current is his third?
Current is third.
Current is third. So he's been everywhere all my life. Everybody knows who Trump is. Had the #1 television show for a while. The Apprentice was the rage for a while. #1 television show. So everybody knew him there. You have seen these two guys, if you are under the age of 50, literally your entire life. What do you need to know? How do you not have a decision yet? And I guess the biggest part that I would give someone a pass on this is the people who don't like either one of them. And they're like, I'm trying to figure out which one I dislike less.
Yeah, that I understand.
That's got to be it.
But I also don't want to give those people a pass, because if you're engaged enough to think, man, these two guys, and you don't like things about them,
right?
You also have to understand policy enough to know that one of them does things one way and another does them in another way.
Well, I'm going to say, based on what you said about the 2012 skit, those people are real. They really are. And
they may not be voting either.
Well,
those people may be the people who are just not voters.
This is true. We do have an awful lot of people, though, who are out there that they show up and they vote in presidential elections. And they don't vote in anything else. Like they will literally get a ballot in November. They will walk in, they will vote for president at the top of their ballot, and they will turn in their ballot. They will not vote for anything beyond that. I was talking to somebody earlier about legalizing marijuana in 22, and there were a ton of ballots all across the state of Missouri. People who showed up, many of them first-time voters, maybe only first ever voted in that election. They walked in, got a ballot, found the marijuana issue, voted yes, turned in their ballot, and left. And they were done.
Yeah.
There are those voters out there. I mean, that's your right? You can vote however you want to vote. We don't have to like it. And in many cases, we don't. But that's kind of where we sit right now. I'm just curious, talking to the audience right now, beyond the presidential election, have you started paying attention to any of the other elections that are going on? Because I got to tell you, August alone has a huge ballot, huge, in Missouri. In Illinois, I don't even know all the stuff that you guys have going on that you're voting for over there. But in Missouri, all but one statewide office is on the ballot. You got a U.S. senator in Senator Hawley's seat is up for election. So he's got a primary in August. That's a Republican primary. You've got a governor's race that is going on.
With a major primary.
A major primary. So you have 3 candidates who are major candidates who are vying for that. The lieutenant governor, who we're going to talk to next hour with Mike Kehoe. The Secretary of State with Jay Ashcroft, who's there. State Senator Bill Eigel, who just termed out of the state Senate. He's still got a veto session to go blow up before he's done, I guess. So those are the 3 main choices that you have for governor. I think there's 120 people running for Secretary of State. I'm not quite sure. It feels like everybody else pulled out of whatever race they were in, and they jumped into the Secretary of State's office. We got a bunch of those. There's just so many races that are going on. I feel sorry for the local people. Where are you going to find oxygen to get your name through with all of the stuff that is going on? I mean, I think somebody said the other day, Mike Kehoe raised $9 million for governor, and he hasn't really, up until the last couple of weeks, spent any of that money. So I'm looking at the governor's race in a poll that Bill Eigel put out a week or two ago. I think it was a week and a half ago. Bill Eigel pushed out a poll that had Jay Ashcroft at 22, Mike Kehoe at 20, and Eigel at 14. Now, granted, it was only 400 likely voters. It was a pretty small poll, but they pushed that out. But it showed 42% of the people are undecided in governor. Wow.
And that's governor.
That's governor.
That's the biggest state race you could have.
Yeah.
Let alone all these other candidates. Now, I told you before the show when we were talking about this topic.
Yes.
Mark Reardon had myself and Brad Range on about a week and a half ago.
Okay.
And played a game called Wheel of Candidates. Or Wheel of Who's Running or something like that.
Wheel of Candidates.
I remember I had to make a sounder for it that was like the Wheel of Fortune sounder.
Let's spin the wheel.
And then it said something at the end.
Adam Schwadron, what's he running for?
So he would throw out a name.
Okay.
But then he would even give us choices and say, what is this person running for?
Okay.
And a lot of times, we're steeped in this stuff. Now, I'm Illinois, so
Right.
And so is Brad, which is why he kind of brought us in, just to see.
It.
But we're around this stuff every day.
You are.
I knew maybe half of them at best.
Wow.
And the other half, names like Mary Elizabeth Coleman.
Right.
I knew she was running for an office, and now she's running for a different office. So this stuff, it gets really confusing even for us who report on it, let alone if you're not paying meticulous attention.
Right.
So it's going to be a tough ballot this year if you're in Missouri. I always say, though, these are the elections, especially, look, 97.1 listeners, please listen. These are the elections you really do want to vote in, though.
You really do.
Because your vote goes way further in a primary, in an April election, in whatever, much more than it does in November. I'm not saying don't vote in November.
Yeah, but pay attention now.
But if you're voting in a school board race, in an off-year election randomly in April or something, I mean, there are votes that my community group at church has decided who was like the comptroller or something.
It's very true.
Like it's that close a lot of times with these local elections. So know who you're voting for.
There are so many. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. There are so many elections that are going on that I hope you pay attention to. And I got to tell you, I'm kind of preaching to the choir at this point because this is a 97.1 audience. This audience is tuned in. Otherwise, you wouldn't be tuned into us right now.
Exactly.
You are into politics. You are into what's going on. You are probably the most well-informed voter that we are going to run into. You are the folks who are engaging. You are leaning into the process. And I appreciate you so much for doing that. But there are an awful lot of people who aren't. So if you can help your friends who kind of pay attention to politics, kind of don't give a crap, if you can help them lean in and get informed, that would be great. We are going to do a lot today.
Now, hang on real quick before we get to the break here.
Okay.
I got an update for you on the flight.
This just in.
Okay. Annie Fry has said that she is not boarded yet.
Oh.
So we're a little
yet
off.
to fly.
I think there was somebody named Holly who was boarding first, and she is now done.
So that was probably Holly Rader, who's a state senator.
Yes. Okay. Yes. That's who it was.
So another running for statewide office.
Holly is going to be on the show tomorrow.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
And they'll probably commiserate their experiences.
That'll be great. Did you throw up? I didn't.
Exactly. And Annie is getting in right now.
Okay.
And if you're on the live stream, I don't know when this is going to happen. We'll probably be talking at some point, and they're just going to pop in the live stream.
Oh, very
You won't be able
cool.
to hear it if it's on the radio, but you will be able to see Annie in the plane. I think it depends on where they're going to keep the live camera.
I'm
because
looking forward to that.
I don't know for sure, but I'm sure we'll be talking and then go, oh, hey. But it'll be just kind of random, so tune in on the stream if you want to see it.
That's a great update. I'm looking forward to that. I saw the training that these guys went through, and very experienced Navy pilots going through the initial training and all of the G-force that they take on. 2 of the 3 new trainees that went through it passed out during the simulator. I mean, it is It is hell on your
it's
body.
real.
So it's very cool. All right, so we're going to move things around. Wiggins America is coming up next because Congressman Blaine Luetkemeyer is going to join us at 12:45. He's got a vote that's going on now. He's got an open window. So he is a guy who is not running for re-election. We're going to talk to Deroy Murdock from Fox News in the next hour, and Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe, as aforementioned, is running for governor. We'll catch up with him. We've also got Battlehawks tickets that we're going to give away today, and James Taylor tickets. He's in concert tomorrow. All of that is going to get wrapped into the Annie Fry Show. My name is Mike Elam, sitting in for Annie today. We'll call it co-piloting at the day on 97.1 FM Talk.
He's got a daughter he calls
This is the Annie Fry Show.
She was born on a Tuesday night.
Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Why I'm a stranger in my own life.
Hello, Mike Carter here. I wonder if you knew that after the purchase of the Louisiana Territory in 1804, a formal three-flag ceremony was held in St. Louis to mark the transfer. The Spanish flag lowered and the French tricolor raised. That in turn was lowered the next day and the flag of the young Republic of the United States stood tall. I'm Mike Carter of Carter Law Offices here, and at that moment the people living here went from being subjects to being citizens of a great free nation. Jump ahead 220 years to what we have become, and over 6 million men, women, and children now call Missouri home. Our largest cities are an economic powerhouse, and our small towns and family farms remain the heart of the nation. A friend wrote me one time at Carter Law Offices, "Hey Mike Carter, why don't Missouri residents show their pride by flying our state flag more often like the folks in Texas?" I was like, that's a really great idea. And I was thinking, maybe anybody who's listening to this, if you want to send me an email at mike@carterlegal.com with your name and address if you're okay doing so, and I'll send you a free state flag, and you can hang it out on your front porch and show everybody you're as proud of Missouri as I am.
All right, summer's just right around the corner, so it's still not too late at all to be proactive on your air conditioning system. One, to make sure it's ready to go, and two, if you were thinking about replacing your system last year or the year before, still good time, good pricing, 0% on the equipment without the price increase yet that's coming here, taking an effect. So if you're like to be proactive, call me. One easy number, Missouri and Illinois. That number is 314-293-2600. Again, very easy. Missouri and Illinois, 314-293-2600, or the website, bartinman.com. Now that is Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
1 in 4 Americans have a disability. I'm one of them. I'm also a working mom who cares deeply about making sure every child with a disability thrives by getting their access needs met. We've got a trusted ally by our side. Easter Seals provides children and families the foundation for lifelong success through early learning programs, skills training, and prep for college and career. That's my Easter Seals. Make it yours. Join us at easterseals.com.
While retinitis pigmentosa takes Mark's vision, his family gives him hope, whether at the family business or at home with his wife and sons. He knows he's not fighting alone. For 50 years, the Foundation Fighting Blindness has funded research into treatments and cures for blinding retinal diseases, providing hope to people with vision loss. And for Mark, winning the fight means being there for his family. The Foundation Fighting Blindness. Together, we're winning. Help us end blinding diseases at fightingblindness.org.
Guys, you know summer is just around the corner. Get yourself in shape now. Let my friends at Victory Men's Health help you. Mark Cox here. You know Victory is offering semaglutide, approved by the FDA for overweight adults. It's a game changer. On average, people are losing up to 15% of their body weight. Be sure and visit my friends at Victory Men's Health in Wing Haven, their newest location in Sunset Hills. They're also in Town and Country and in O'Fallon, Illinois. Go online today. Tell them you heard Mark Cox talking about it. VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
Mortgage rates have finally dropped. That's right. Golden Oak has 5.375% fixed rates available right now. Our average cash-out customer saves over $1,000 a month. Call today and take advantage of our 5.375 fixed rate. Call 314-567-GOLD. That's 314-567-GOLD.
Golden Oak Landing cured my blues.
5.934 APR. FHA 15-year, 20% equity qualified credit. Additional terms apply. NMLS 114937.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. 9 out of 10 homes are under-insulated. Keep the air you're paying to heat where it should be with 15% off attic insulation. For a free estimate on attic insulation, visit aircomfortservice.com.
June 27th, the first presidential debate. You can only hear it here on 97.1 FM Talk. But you're also invited to the party. We're all getting together at Dave & Buster's. Details are at 971talk.com/events.
Right about now, the Funk Soul Brother. Check it out now, the Funk Soul Brother. Right about now, the Funk Soul Brother. Check it out now, the Funk Soul Brother. Right about now, the Funk Soul Brother. Check it out now, the Funk Soul Brother. Right about now, the Funk Soul Brother.
You got to love a little Fatboy Slim to bring you back, right? Right about now. Hey, we are going to give away some tickets in just a little bit. Battlehawks tickets. The XFL Conference Championship is going on this Sunday. The Battlehawks killing it again. Back-to-back seasons. These guys are just coming in and setting the records for attendance. You could be there after they win this Sunday. I'm already going to claim the victory, right?
Okay.
After they win this Sunday, they are going to play for the overall championship next Sunday. And that's going to be exciting. So we're going to have tickets for you a little bit later on. James Taylor is tomorrow night?
The show is tomorrow night. Yeah.
Tomorrow night, but we're going to have some tickets later on today.
We're giving away tickets today and tomorrow. I think we're going to do James Taylor in the 1 o'clock hour, probably the later half of the 1 o'clock hour, and then Battlehawks tickets in the latter half of the 2 o'clock hour.
There you go. But stay tuned because we've got a lot going on. Congressman Blaine Luetkemeyer is going to join us next break. But in the meantime, I forgot to remind you, it's Mike Elam sitting in for Annie Fry. If you missed it, Annie's on the live stream right now. If you're on the live stream, she is out there on the tarmac. Hi, Annie. She's got her flight suit on. You are looking special in that. And look at the Blue Angel. She's flying in number 7. That's going to be the one that you're flying in today. I am excited to see that.
We told you got to be on the live stream because we can't broadcast the sound of this. Technically, it would be incredibly difficult.
If I only knew sign language, then we could make that work. She is so excited. Are you frightened? Are you stoked? She is frightened. She is stoked. She is all of the above. It's going to be fantastic. I am so excited for you. By the way, our YouTube live chat poll today is, would you fly with the Blue Angels? I'm thinking, hell yeah, I'd fly with the Blue Angels. This is an opportunity of a lifetime. These are the best Navy pilots in the fleet.
I don't think the concern is that you'd be safe in the plane. I think the concern is that you're going very fast in the plane.
The concern is, what is the pilot going to do while you're in the plane?
Yeah, exactly.
Like I was talking about when I watched the documentary talking about the Blue Angels, just amazing history, by the way. And it is hard to get to be a Blue Angel pilot. These are the best of the best in the Navy fleet and the Marine Corps fleet that get to be a Blue Angel.
Agree with you. And the people who fly with them, very average to below average.
People. And I am not touching that. But it's amazing. Just watching the training, though, I mean, like I was talking about before the break, there are guys who fall out. Like when they were going through the G-Force training, they actually passed out because there's so many G-Forces. And Annie's going, shut up, Mike. I don't need to hear that right now. I'm nervous enough as things are. Annie, these are the best pilots in the world. Oh, look, your daughter's with you. Do you have the whole family? Just your daughter. Oh, we're going to bring the whole family on. So if you're on the YouTube live chat or live stream right now, you can see everybody. They got the whole family out there. Look at that. See, this Annie Fry family is what a great family, right? What a great family. It's good. Who is she waving in now? Is Brad coming to join you? Is that who's going to get on the live stream? There he is. Brad's running the camera. Of course he is. Somebody's got to be doing that. So this is exciting. So we got everybody. I know in radio you're thinking, this is awesome, Mike. Thanks for telling me about video that I can't see right now.
Well,
but
see it.
If you go to YouTube and go to the Annie Fry page, you're going to be able to see it there. So we will find out more of how today goes. I'm very excited for them. I'm also really excited because it's time for Wiggins America.
Wiggins!
Oh, Wiggins!
When have I ever passed up an opportunity to talk about polls?
Never.
Forbes has done an article on what they think is going to be the deciding factors of the 2024 election. And they're looking at that being...
all elections or presidential elections?
Presidential. I guess I should clarify since we were just talking about
that.
My bad. But they have narrowed it down to just 6 states. Now, I think it's actually beyond that you could have some play. I mean, they're talking about New York and Virginia. Mike's shaking his head. He's
I don't
going,
know
no.
about New York. Virginia, though. Because Virginia does have a Republican governor, lieutenant governor, and I think attorney general. All 3 of those statewide offices are all Republican. So,
but you'd think that they hit their high water mark when they got that, and it would swing back the other way, but we don't know.
It did in 22, but it could...
Yeah.
It could bring it home.
We don't know, but Forbes is narrowing this down to just 6 states.
Okay.
They're saying these are the states that will decide the election.
Do you have that list?
Arizona,
yes,
Georgia, Nevada are the first 3.
I think Trump takes all 3 of those.
That's why I started with those.
I definitely think this whole Democrat Georgia thing is over. I really do. I think Georgia comes back home, and I think he's going to take Georgia. I think Arizona is the same way. I think that's going to come back home as well. Nevada would be my least likely, but I think Nevada is going Trump.
Well, what's crazy is that among those 3 states which are trending the most toward Trump now,
you're going to tell me Nevada
is number 1.
How about that?
In the polling, 5.4 points average, and there are polls that show Trump up by like double digits in Nevada consistently. This isn't an outlier. I mean, it happens a lot.
That shows you how much the bar has moved for Nevada.
Yes.
Compared to where it used to be, because Harry Reid was the guy who ran Nevada, who was the president or was the majority leader of the Senate for a long time, and he was Nevada. Oh, and Annie is walking her way to the plane and getting pre-flight, getting ready to jump in, by the way.
All right, pre-flight. Whenever I hear that word, I think of Elton John. Okay, back to Wiggins America stuff.
All right, Rocket Man.
That's exactly right. Arizona and Nevada are trending the hardest. Georgia's up by 4.8 points. They're all around the same. Okay. So we're talking about 4 to 5 points that Trump is leading in those states, which is actually beyond the margin of error.
So I feel good about those 3 as we talk today.
And the reason I started with those 3 is because if you do the math, the electoral math, if things break pretty normally otherwise and Trump wins those 3 states...
He wins.
No. Do you know what he ends up with?
269.
268.
I was close.
268. You need 270.
Right.
Which is why there's been such a lot of discussion and fights going on in Nebraska that you're not hearing a whole lot about nationally, to change their one district near Omaha to just being the same, because they're one of the 2 states that allocates by proportion.
Isn't it them in New Hampshire?
It's them in Maine.
Maine.
That
I knew it was one of those northeastern.
Their electoral votes by, there's basically two separate like districts.
Unlike everybody else, they don't do a statewide.
Exactly. And so Nebraska is fighting amongst themselves right now to try to bring that Omaha district back under just full state.
Okay.
If that happens, which it very well could,
that would give him enough.
That would be 269.
Oh.
Now you're talking about an electoral tie. 269 to 269. If Trump doesn't carry any others of the swing states, just those, and Nebraska's one district, that's a tie electorally, which, if you've heard recently people talking about the possibility of this happening, which is very possible, hasn't happened before.
It goes to the House of Representatives.
That is exact. Well, it goes to the House of Representatives, and each state gets one vote based on their House reps. So it's a little bit different than just each House rep gets a vote.
Mike Carter here. Too often we lose sight of how fortunate...
I agree.
Mike Carter just likes to jump in.
Yeah. I mean,
Judge Mike Carter.
He's right. Too often we lose sight.
We really do.
And he's trying
what's
to
important.
bring
And
us
what's
back.
important is 270.
Thank you very much.
There you go.
And so to the other states that Forbes has said is going to decide this election beyond Arizona, Georgia, and Nevada, because if those, like I said, those would bring it to basically a tie.
Okay.
If Nebraska changes their rule, it then becomes Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. Now, I'm not saying anything new here.
Right.
This is stuff that we've talked about many, many times. But of those 3 states, Is there one that stands out to you that's most likely? Because if Trump wins the other three, which looks very likely,
right,
and then one of these three, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, it's over.
So traditionally, I would have said to you Pennsylvania would be that state. Now, I don't know that that's the case anymore. After what happened in 2020, I may lean more to say Wisconsin could actually be that state, but he has made a ton of inroads with the UAW and talking about what Biden's electric push for electric cars is doing to the automotive industry in Michigan. So, all that being said, I'm going to go Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania as best to worst. How did I do?
That is exactly what I would have said, but that's the opposite of what the polls are saying, Mike.
Really?
Yeah, and that's
Wait,
weird.
Newsflash, Mike Elam was wrong again.
No,
It's
but
like we're playing X's and O's.
But I agree with you based on historical trends.
Yeah.
Because when you talk about Pennsylvania, you're talking about a state that's very wishy-washy.
It is.
They're all over the place. It feels less like a swing state and more like a swamp state to me.
Well, Western Pennsylvania is so different than Eastern Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Eastern Pennsylvania,
Yes.
you've got Philly and you've got all that. It's a traditional, what you would think of New England type voter. Not going to be Trump friendly.
Exactly.
You get to the Rust Belt part, when you get to Pittsburgh and all of that type, you get to a much more rural farming community, manufacturing. Those are folks that I would say those are Trump people.
So Michigan is the same, where it's now Pennsylvania, Trump is polling at 2.3 points above Biden.
Okay.
On average.
Okay.
So he's right now polling-wise winning that state. But Michigan, it's been back and forth. You've seen big polls showing Trump way out and ahead, and then you've seen him pull back recently to where it's just about even. Wisconsin, though, to me, Mike, and we'll wrap on this, is the most possible pickoff from 2020 for Trump, simply because, if you remember, he lost that state by about 20,000 votes.
Right. It was close.
The demographics of that state haven't changed a whole lot.
Right.
There's a lot less of the big metric changes that are going on in other states that you're like, I don't know what's happening. Nevada being one of those. But Wisconsin is pretty consistent in that they're always right on the line. And if Trump can pick off only 20,000 votes or have a swing of 20,000, he wins that state. And I'll add that Wisconsin has been one of the states that has pushed for election integrity laws the hardest.
Yes.
They could do more. Everybody could do more. But they've done a really good job. And so if you're concerned about Detroit with Michigan, if you're concerned about Philadelphia, I get it. Wisconsin doesn't have, Milwaukee, but they still,
it's different.
and Madison, but they still have a lot more checks and balances there than a state like Pennsylvania does at this point with all the mail in and everything.
And I think you're seeing a lot of that play that's happened since the judgment came down in the New York case, where you have an awful lot of people who have sort of come home, for lack of a better term, and said, you have a lot of people who were never Trumpers, or they were like, I really don't like Donald Trump. Yeah, I'm a Republican, but I have a problem with him. Now they're coming out and they're saying, you know what? I'm fed up with this whole thing. If there's one thing I would tell you, and then we'll take a break and get to Congressman Luetkemeyer on the other side. If there's one thing I think Donald Trump failed at in his 4 years, he talked about draining the swamp. And it feels like there were so many people in the Justice Department and the IRS and places like that that were so ingrained, that are so against him, that I wish he could have come in and changed those heads and said to the heads of those departments, clean house. Get rid of these people that you can, because some you can't, their careers, it's tough to get them out. Get rid of the ones that you can, change the culture. And I bet you, because I think Trump's going to win this year. I just feel like it's going that direction, and things are going the wrong direction for Biden, and we'll talk more about that later on today. But as that continues to change, once Trump gets in, I guarantee you that's going to be at the top of his list of going, I'm going to make sure we get these people out who are what we call the swamp. Are the people that are faceless, that we don't know, that are running all these departments, and they're the ones that are keeping the things from happening that we need to happen to really have an unbiased, effective government.
It's not top-of-the-line news, but his team is that. If you really dig into who he's putting together, that is one of the top priorities that they're taking on. And they won't campaign on that because the people who are going to vote on that are already voting on it.
Right.
It doesn't really move the needle. You're going to talk about issues, but that is one of his top priorities.
That is Ryan Wiggins. That is Wiggins America. By the way, update, Annie Fry is in the plane. She is getting ready to take off. They have blacked it out on the screen, so you can't see on the YouTube live feed right now Annie flying, but she is in the cockpit, and we will catch up with that a little bit later on. My name is Mike Elam. On the other side of the break, we are going to talk to Congressman Blaine Luetkemeyer from Missouri's 3rd Congressional District. My name is Mike Elam. This is the Annie Fry Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Fry Show.
Mike Carter here. Too often we lose sight of how fortunate we are to live in Missouri. When I travel out of state on business, people say, Mike Carter, what's so special about Missouri? Well, let's start with the mighty Mississippi and Missouri rivers traversing the state. They were the superhighways of the day, used by French fur trappers and traders. Later, American settlers like Daniel Boone and waves of pioneers drove their teams and wagons along the Boone's Lick Trail he blazed. Carter Law Offices, right now, founded by me, Mike Carter, started and is on Boone's Lick Trail, near where those intrepid settlers crossed the Missouri to harness the land. Rich soils and generations of farm families like my own grandparents made Missouri the breadbasket of America. Drive a few minutes outside our cities and towns, and you'll find yourself passing miles and miles of undulating wheat and corn, farms and ranches that feed our nation. I'm Mike Carter, and I'm proud to live and work in the Show Me State, a place God blessed just a little bit more. Go to MikeCarter.com to see more about our great state of Missouri.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
I can see clearly now thanks to the doctors at Ophthalmology Associates. Doctors Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, Andy Royer, and introducing Samuel Berry. You can too. Call 314-966-5000 or check out youridoc.com. That's youridoc.com.
If you had a crystal ball, you wouldn't agonize over when to sell your home. You just ask, should I sell while my home's value is sky high? Or wait and hope the bottom doesn't drop out of the housing market? The thing is, I'm not ready to move. You don't need a crystal ball with Truehold's Sell and Stay program. You can literally sell now and stay in your home as long as you like. When you sell your home to Truehold for its best current value, you can fully cash out your home's equity. And you can stay in your home as long as you want with an easy, affordable lease. Truehold pays property taxes, insurance, and maintenance too. Truehold unlocks your wealth without uprooting your life. Get an offer now while your home's value is sky high and use the money to secure your retirement, pay off bills, or finance your dreams. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out your home's current best value without moving. That's Truehold.com. Go to Truehold.com now. That's Truehold.com.
Mark Cox here. My friends at Whiskey Dickerson are hard at work cranking out a brand new line of t-shirts, hoodies, and hats with hard-working, self-reliant patriots like you and mine. Whether you're the subtle and tasteful type or you'd rather push the First Amendment to the limits, Whiskey Dickerson has just the shirt for you. Right now, get 20% off by entering promo code 971 at checkout. Whiskey Dickerson is giving a voice to the silent majority. So if you like your coffee strong and your tea in the harbor, go to whiskeydickerson.com.
It's the Manny Fry Show, and I say Manny because Annie is out today. She is about to be flying with the Blue Angels as we speak. Go check out on our YouTube feed on her page at Annie Fry Show. If you want to go and see her flying with the Blue Angels. Today's YouTube live chat poll, would you fly with the Blue Angels? So go and answer that, and we'll get the results for that later in the show. The time is 12:46. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
June 27th, the first presidential debate. You can only hear it here on 97.1 FM Talk. But you're also invited to the party. We're all getting together at Dave & Buster's. Details are at 971talk.com/events.
You've got a friend in me. You've got a friend in me.
It's the Annie Fry Show. I'm Mike Elam, sitting in for Annie today, who is out flying with the Blue Angels. And we'll get an update on that a little bit later on. It's kind of appropriate that you would play You Got a Friend in Me, because Missouri has had a very good friend in Congress for a number of years, and unfortunately for us, fortunately for he and his family, I guess, Congressman Blaine Luetkemeyer has said this is it for him. He is hanging it up in Congress, and he is going to go enjoy some time with his family, but he is giving us some time today. Congressman, how are you, sir?
I'm fantastic, Mike. How are you this afternoon?
Very good. It is always a pleasure when I get the opportunity to talk to you. There's so many things that are going on, not only in D.C., but in Missouri. And I would love to get your feedback on things, of things that have been going on. And I guess we start with Joe Biden is going to secure the border, I hear. What do you think the odds are that that's going to work?
Well, he's had a chance for the last 3.5 years, and he's done nothing. President Trump tried a number of things, and by the time he was out of office, he had kind of figured out exactly how to really curtail a lot of the stuff that's going on down there, how to minimize the folks coming in, how to be able to catch the bad guys, and whenever Biden comes in, he turns it all around 180 degrees and gets rid of all those things that Trump had found worked. And he's been flowering along ever since. And as a result, we've got all sorts of problems at the borders. I mean, we've got record numbers of people coming across yet. We have drugs. We have crime coming across. Over 26,000 Chinese nationals came across since the 1st of October.
Wow.
We know we now have 25 to 30 terrorist cells in this country as a result of an open border. And these are guys that are sitting there waiting for somebody to, turn the switch and have another September 11th situation. I mean, this is the height of stupidity, quite frankly, whenever we're not protecting our own border, which would be so easy to do, and yet we're not doing that. And so, for the president to come out and now all of a sudden say, well, we're going to cap the number of people that can come in here for asylum. It's like, oh, this is too little, too late, and he probably will not enforce it anyway. What he'll do is just make a headline out here, make a news soundbite for the day, and then move on. I mean, these guys are all about soundbites and doing nothing. All talk, no action, and I'm fearful that's probably what the president's going to do again, because that's been what he's been for the last 3.5 years.
I was talking on a different show yesterday, and we were talking about the fact that the number is 8 to 12 million that people generally talk about of how many people have come across the border illegally since Biden has taken office. And you just talked about the thing that worries me more than a lot of other things, and that is how many Chinese nationals, scrapping young men who have come across, and I know you serve on the House Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party. That is one of the things that really scares me, of how many people are coming into our country that are from countries that we do not have good relationships with.
Well, and that's the problem, Mike, is that, as I said, we've got 25 to 30 terrorist cells that they know are here right now that have come across the border. We know for sure that there's been 26,000 plus Chinese nationals that have come in since the 1st of October. And these are, I had 3 classified briefings in the last 2 days on China, and it just scares the dickens out of me that these guys, all these things are going on, and they seem to do nothing about it. It's like sticking their head in the sand. And why are we allowing this to happen? Why are we allowing the Chinese nationals to come in who are basically going to be spies for the Chinese Communist Party / communist government? I mean, why are we doing this? Why are you allowing your enemy to come in your front door and set up shop? I mean, last year, for instance, we found a biolab in California.
Wow.
This lab was producing 25 to 30 pathogens, including Ebola, COVID-19, and some pneumococcal stuff. I mean, that's a fact. We found that lab and have since destroyed it. But they're setting up shop in our own country here. They have their own police force and set up a couple of different police stations, one in New York City and I think another one in Chicago, to police their own people. This is crazy what the Chinese are doing, and right under our own nose. And you just sit there and say, "Stop us if you can."
And what's amazing is if you bring that up to a lot of people, they'll tell you that's all made up. That's not really happening. But it is really happening. It's just not getting reported.
Yeah, no, it's happening. I can tell you it's happening because we get reports on it. I sit on a committee, and it's a bipartisan situation. You have Democrats and Republicans sitting there getting the same information, and they're as aghast about this as what the Republicans are. This is happening. The Chinese are infiltrating us in every single way you can imagine. Whether it's the cyber situation, the intellectual property they try and steal from our corporations and/or our government. I mean, they try and hack into the Department of Defense a million times a day, and they got into 14 to 16 agencies last year. So
wow.
the threat is real. The threat is there. I'm working with and here's just another example of this. I'm working with the congresswoman from Alaska. The Chinese want to have a trade route over the Arctic. They have 20 icebreakers. We have one. And they want to have this new path across the Arctic. And then in order to do that, they need to have some ports. They're working with the Native American Eskimo tribes up in Alaska to put a port in Alaska on the northern shore. Well, because the Native Americans, that land is theirs. It's not a part of something that the United States government controls. They can negotiate on their own. So I'm working with the congresswoman from up there to say, hey, we need to be able to bring this situation under the control of there's an agency within Treasury that oversees these sort of activities, and we need to bring that agency involve it here in this situation. And the tribes, to their credit, are willing to work with us on this, and they see the problem that this could be, and they want to work with us and try and thwart this as well. However, this is another example of the Chinese just trying to, stick in our back door, so to speak, but to set up ports on our American soil? Really? They already own a couple of ports on the West Coast. They tried to buy the port in Miami, and unfortunately we had a mayor down there who now is a congressman who told them to take a flying leap. But wow. This is how they are trying to get into every single agency, industry, the lives of our people, collecting data. TikTok was another. A lot of people who use TikTok think it's terrible, but I can tell you TikTok is owned by a company called ByteDance, which is an agency basically of the Chinese government. So they collect the data from TikTok, and guess where it goes? The Chinese government. So the Chinese government, if you use TikTok, has all that information in their own databases. So these people are a threat on so many fronts you can't imagine. And again, it's very, very scary to see how they are getting away with this. And the naivete of our people with regards to China is breathtaking, especially whenever you see that they really don't care about this stuff. They don't care about their data. They don't care about anything anymore. And it really opens them up, opens our country up to a lot of nefarious activities by the Chinese.
We're talking with Congressman Blaine Luetkemeyer. So I talked about this coming in, and I've only got about a minute and a half. So you're wrapping up. You're going to be done. And we are definitely going to miss you. Congress is going to miss you. The United States is going to miss you. But we here in Missouri are definitely going to miss you. Thank you for everything you've done for us to this point. But you've got a candidate that you're backing into backfill your seat, aren't you?
Yes, I am. I thank you for the kind words, Mike. It's been my privilege and honor to serve the great people of 3rd District and state of Missouri for the last 16 years. But, yeah, Kurt Schaefer is, I think, a very, very qualified individual. I'm really excited about him stepping up to try and take over my position, and I think he'll do a fantastic job. He's a former state senator, former assistant attorney general. He's an attorney. He's smart as a whip, and he's proven. His kids are, I guess, I think, a freshman in college, so he's got a lot of life experiences under his belt. And he's a strong conservative, strong pro-life guy, strong Second Amendment supporter. I think he's going to be perfect for the job, and I've fully endorsed him, and I'm working hard for him. I think he'd be a great guy to step into my shoes and more than fill them. So I'm fully on board with him, and hopefully he can be the next congressman from the 3rd.
Well, I appreciate you coming on and making time for us today, and I'm sure we'll have Kurt on soon, and we'll get an opportunity to talk to him. In the meantime, keep up the good fight, and we appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much, Mike. Always a pleasure. Take care.
Congressman Blaine Luetkemeyer from the 3rd District of Missouri, and we are going to take a break. On the other side, we are going to talk to Deroy Murdock from Fox. It's Mike Elam on the Andy Fry Show, 97.1 FM Talk.
Before you sell your home, consider your options. Mark Cox here, and for years now I've been telling you about St. Louis real estate expert Gloria Liu, owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Gloria is an expert in selling homes for the most money because she has the guarantees, the buyers, and different solutions for every type of seller. She recently provided a family multiple cash offers in minutes so they could move quickly with no showings, no costly repairs, and no hassles. Now, not everyone's looking for multiple cash offers. That's why Gloria will sell your home at your agreed upon price, or she'll buy it. Her name says it all, Your Home Sold Guaranteed. Regardless of whether you're looking for multiple cash offers or you want to utilize her Guaranteed Sold program to ensure you get the most money possible. Here's your next step. Call Gloria at 314-325-6888 or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Conditions apply. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
More good news for Frederick Roofing, voted best roofing company by the St. Louis Post-Dispatch.
For a hole in your roof or a whole new roof, Frederick Roofing.
314-645-2000.
Hello, Mike Carter here. I wonder if you knew that after the purchase of the Louisiana Territory in 1804, a formal three-flag ceremony was held in St. Louis to mark the transfer. The Spanish flag lowered and the French tricolor raised. That in turn was lowered the next day, and the flag of the young Republic of the United States stood tall. I'm Mike Carter of Carter Law Offices here, and at that moment, the people living here went from being subjects to being citizens of a great free nation. Jump ahead 220 years to what we have become, and over 6 million men, women, and children now call Missouri home. Our largest cities are an economic powerhouse, and our small towns and family farms remain the heart of the nation. A friend wrote me one time at Carter Law Offices, "Hey, Mike Carter, why don't Missouri residents show their pride by flying our state flag more often like the folks in Texas?" I was like, that's a really great idea. And I was thinking, maybe anybody who's listening to this, if you want to send me an email at mike@carterlegal.com with your name and address, if you're okay doing so,
if you guys are
and I'll
watching
send
on
you
the
a
live
free
stream, we're
state
gonna go
flag, and
down
you can hang it out on your
here,
front
and they
porch
got
and show everybody you're as proud of Missouri as I am.
Not many window companies do egress windows. Egress
So we
windows
get
are
to
the
go
openings
and
used for
watch her
emergencies for
take off,
basements
and
with
it's
no
gonna be fun.
doorway
So
exit
they
to
said
the
I could bring my
outside.
camera along, take you
GHR
guys along for the
Contracting.
trip.
That's all we do. Get customer financing as low as 0% for 18 months. GHRcontracting.com.
I'm Tom Ackerman with this month's Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight, and we are joined by Dr. Slade Stratton, dermatologic surgeon.
It's kind of one-stop shopping, and everybody is on the same. Medical records and everybody communicates all the time. So it's one big team. It can easily coordinates all of different specialties in medicine that might be needed to treat your skin cancer.
Special thanks to Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer.
Amy,
For more
the good news
information,
is
go to
that even if you have a call, you can rewind and watch
siteman.wustl.edu.
this.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio.
That's GetJim.com.
97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
An embassy shooting suspect with possible ties to ISIS. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. The State Department just confirming more information about a shooting earlier today outside the U.S. Embassy in Beirut, Lebanon. One suspect in custody was wearing a shirt with ISIS insignia.
The embassy posting to X saying, quote, at 8:34 a.m. local time, small arms fire was reported in the vicinity of the entrance to the U.S. Embassy. Thanks to the quick reaction of the LAF, ISF, and our embassy security team, our facility and our team are safe.
Fox's Trey Yingst, the gunman reportedly wounded in a shootout with Lebanese security forces. The motive remains under investigation. U.S. officials confirm Ukraine has fired U.S.-supplied weapons on targets in Russia.
Days after President Biden approved the limited use of American weapons to be used across the Ukraine-Russia border, Western officials tell the Associated Press Ukraine has struck targets inside Russia in recent days. The president's directive allows weapons supplied by the U.S. to be used to strike Russian forces only that are preparing to attack Ukraine. It administration's policy directing Ukraine not to use American-provided long-range missiles for offensive strikes inside Russia has not changed.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. Right now, President Biden is in France, arriving early today for tomorrow's 80th anniversary of D-Day. An ex-wife and ex-girlfriend take the stand at Hunter Biden's trial on charges of lying about drug use during a gun purchase in 2018.
Federal prosecutors in Delaware put his ex-wife on the stand. Kathleen Buell and Hunter divorced in 2017, but she testified that she would search Hunter's car for drugs through 2019 in case he lent the car to their daughters. Dates are important here, as Hunter's accused of lying on that firearm purchase form about being a drug user in the fall of 2018.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. America is listening to Fox News.
I have diabetes. I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I have asthma. I'm at risk too.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Some delightful weather on the way as we snap the unsettled weather pattern. Partly sunny skies, a slow drop in the humidity this afternoon. 85 for the high. Tonight, clear skies, 65. Thursday, sunny, 82. Thursday night, clear skies, 62. Friday, sunny, and 82. Not bad at all. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Diamonds Direct has done it again. This month only, get ready for an offer you can't resist. Buy a natural diamond engagement ring of 1 carat plus and receive a free natural 1 carat diamond tennis bracelet valued at $2,000. That's right, a stunning diamond tennis bracelet at no extra cost. Imagine giving her the ring of her dreams and her wedding gift all at once. So hurry into Diamonds Direct. Your chance to get a free tennis bracelet will not last long. Details at diamondsdirect.com.
You've listened to 97.1 FM Talk. You've heard of Doug Voss of Voss Financial and Safe Money Radio, as he has been a staple as the financial expert on the station for many years. You can hear him on Safe Money Radio several times a weekend right here on 97.1 FM Talk. And you can talk to Doug Voss directly. Here's his number. Call Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That is 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through D.H. Hill Securities, LLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
If you have a problem with the IRS, believe me, it's not going away on its own. The IRS never gives up. They have endless resources, so they control the game. Well, your tax problems can end. I'm attorney Lance Drury with the Drury Law Firm, a local tax resolution firm with an A-plus rating from the Better Business Bureau. I've handled thousands of IRS cases over the last 15 years. So when you hire me, you won't be speaking long distance or sending money to some TV pitchman that's riddled with consumer complaints. Your first visit is completely free and confidential, and I'll tell you on the spot exactly how much it will cost. So call me, Lance Drury, at 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120. Or go to Lance, D-R-U-R-Y, law.com. If you have IRS issues, you need a local attorney, you need me, Lance Drury.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Our goal at Neovitin is to make supporting your nutrition as easy as possible. That's why we created the Neovitin monthly subscription. Just go to neovitin.com, choose your multivitamin, sign up, and we will do the rest. You'll receive your Neovite multivitamin every month with no long-term obligation. You can pause or cancel at any time, and shipping is free. Each Neovite multivitamin includes our physician-formulated proprietary blend for nutritional support you won't find anywhere else. Start supporting your nutrition the easy way with Neovite multivitamins. Sign up for a Neovite subscription today at neovite.com.
Tune in to the Home Improvement Show, sponsored by Mosby Building Arts, Saturdays 12 to 1 p.m. on 97.1 for expert advice on remodeling, design, and construction. This live Q&A show begins at noon, or find podcasts at mosbybuildingarts.com.
The National Memorial of Military Ascent is on a mission to create a first-class Veterans Memorial Complex in Grafton, Illinois. Sue Thomas here. Conservatives Care is honoring our veterans. Learn more at 971talk.com/care.
The Annie Fry Show YouTube live chat poll of the day is sponsored by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
Hey guys, have Ethan take that banner down, please.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio. I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
It was a special edition of the Annie Fry Show. My name is Mike Elam, sitting in for Annie today on 97.1 FM Talk. Annie is out on the tarmac right now. She is sitting in the cockpit of the United States Navy Blue Angels flyer, and they are here for the air show this coming weekend, which is going to be fantastic. And she has the opportunity to actually get in the plane, and it is moving on the tarmac right now. So we will check in with Annie a little bit later on. Thanks, Brad, for doing the live feed and keeping that going for us. So we're going to get a chance to check in with them. That's exciting. So the YouTube live question poll today
Chad, if you can hear me,
is, would you fly with the Blue Angels?
Take the banner down. Just bomb the chat with that.
Yeah, do that in a heartbeat. I would probably regret it for a number of moments afterwards, but it would be a thrill of a lifetime. So Annie is doing that right now. We're going to get the opportunity to talk to her a little bit later on. In the meantime, we have the opportunity to talk to Deroy Murdock, who is joining us, Fox News contributor. Deroy, how are you, sir?
I'm great, Mike. How are you?
I'm very good, man. We appreciate you always making the time for us to be on the show every week. That's very nice of you.
My pleasure.
Hey, you had a great article in the American Spectator of Judge Merchan is a hoodlum in black robes. It's easy to see.
Ethan, you're going to want Annie Big for this because we're going to do the flyby.
That the American people found out what a two-tiered justice system looks like live and in person, didn't they?
It really did. I mean, in living color, if you will. And I happened to be in the courtroom a week ago, yesterday, Tuesday of last week, for the closing arguments. And it was very interesting to be in the courtroom with Judge Merchan and the prosecutors and the defense team and President Trump and his family. And it was quite something to be there in person
45 minutes,
and be a part of history. And I think what's fascinating and what's really disturbing is the degree to which Judge Merchan and Alvin Bragg not only engaged in unusual, shall we say, unconventional legal theories and so on. But in my piece, I lay out 12 different examples of where they basically violated traditional canons of judicial practice, criminal procedure, the way judges are supposed to behave, U.S. Federal law, and the Constitution. And I basically argue in my piece that in order to get Trump, Judge Juan Merchan turned his courtroom into a crime scene. And I think that's what this judge did over and over and over again, just break this law, break that rule, break that tradition. For example, when it comes to picking out judges, according to New York's uniform rules for courts, you're supposed to have a random method for picking judges. You have a lottery or some kind of electronic device, whatever, that picks out the name randomly of a judge. Well, in this case, in this particular New York versus Trump case, the chief administrative judge said, "Oh, let's put Juan Merchan on it." Yeah, the guy who's worked on a couple other cases with the Trump organization. This is now his third. This was just wrapped up. Third case involving the Trump organization. And his next case is going to be something involving Steve Bannon. So you have the same same judge, quote unquote, randomly doing 4 cases involving either Donald J. Trump, his company, or his former advisor. So that breaks the rules. Another thing, under the Sixth Amendment, you're supposed to have a clear identification of what the crimes are that you face. As it turns out, the three underlying crimes from which the jury was allowed to pick, the defense team and Trump didn't hear about this until the instructions to the jury. Now, you're supposed to hear about this at the beginning of the process and decide, okay, let's explain what the defense is and give our side of the story. Instead, after the closing arguments, the judge says, okay, by the way, one of the crimes that the jury can use to pick to say this is what Trump was trying to cover up is tax crime. I was in the courtroom, as I say, a week ago yesterday, 2 hours of the defense wrap-up and about 2 hours of the prosecution
so 7,000 feet is
I did not hear the word tax one time.
Wow.
And I would think the defense would have said,
they've got
hey,
higher
by the way,
ceiling for
the
Annie's
tax
flight,
thing isn't a thing. It's perfectly kosher. And the prosecution team saying, yeah,
Dawn, they are
Donald
not
J. Trump
allowed
is
to,
a
but
tax
they're going to
criminal.
walk
I
right
didn't
up
think
to
about
that
tax.
line.
And all of a sudden, the judge says, okay, you guys can, if you think that Trump committed a tax crime, then you'll find him guilty. Another aspect of this is you're supposed to have a unanimous decision by all 12 jurors on each particular charge. And what the judge said is, here are these three different crimes. You guys can pick and choose. So you could have 4 people picking crime A, which is basically engaging in federal election violations.
Okay,
crime
he's
2
rolling.
is engaging in falsification of business records, which is basically falsification of business records in order to falsify other business records. That's totally circular. And the third thing is anything involving tax, including the federal tax. You could have 4 people saying federal election violation, 4 saying it's falsification of records, another 4 saying that he's guilty of some tax crime, and not all 12 of them agreeing on anything, okay? Now, that goes completely against the idea of 12 unanimous jurors agreeing on all aspects of a crime. That principle was begun in 1367, 657 years ago. So Judge Merchant decided to take 657 years of Anglo-American common law, ball it up, and throw it into the trash.
Wow.
Unbelievable. So, and again, I just gave you 3 examples. In my piece, I've got a dozen of them. And it was just, one broken law after another broken tradition, after another broken aspect of the U.S. Constitution, another piece of the Bill of Rights. Truly, truly astonishing.
All right, guys,
I think Judge Juan Merchan is a criminal and got to be accorded that way. And I think the people above him ought to look at taking away his law license and disbarring him for his behavior in this particular case.
We're talking with Deroy Murdock. Sorry, Merchant. I was right in front of my face. You can find his article in the American Spectator. Yet I'm just curious of, we've heard so much about how so much of these charges had to get massaged, for lack of a better term, between state statute, federal statute to come up with all this. But the judge gave the jury basically a pathway to convict, and you just walked through it. There's all different ways you can get there. They didn't have to agree on one crime. He didn't even know, to your point, what the crime was that that was tying all this to until you got to closing arguments when you're doing that. But I'm curious, a little behind the scenes. You're being in that courtroom every day. What was it like, A, being in the courtroom, and B, what were the hallway conversations that you were having with the people who were joining you in the courtroom? What was that conversation like?
Good question. Just to be clear, I was only there one day. I was just there closing arguments last Tuesday. So I was not, unlike, Jonathan Turley and Andy McCarthy, I was not there every day of the trial by any means, just one day. It was, of course, interesting, fascinating, a little grim. This is a courtroom that looks a little bit like a, that sort of institutional plain, white paint with kind of, dark wooden paneling, overhead neon lights, which are kind of, not very pretty. And in God We Trust above Judge Merchant's, where the bench where he sits.
Ironic.
I did find a little ironic. I found Merchant's, for what it's worth, his voice to be soothing. Based on what I'd heard about him, I thought it would be kind of, authoritarian and really domineering, but as actually kind of a soft-spoken, soothing voice, for whatever that's worth. As for the hallway conversations, I had the opportunity to be backstage in the holding area where President Trump and his family and friends and supporters were. And most of the conversation was, how do you think that went? How did those arguments go? What do you think of the various claims or whatever that were made? And, how do you see it? Does this look like it's going to be an acquittal, or is this going to be a conviction, or is this going to be a hung jury? And, we went around the room with making our various speculations. I thought that there was a chance that President Trump would be acquitted because I've been on 3 juries here in New York, and in my view, the juries took their work very, very seriously. It was not like, hey, let's just start doling out money to people. And I thought that somebody there would say, look, maybe we don't like Trump, maybe we're not going to vote for him, but we're not going to lock him up for nothing over, completely ridiculous, absurd case. I guess I was wrong about that. Or, frankly, the instructions they got and the information they didn't get. For example, Bradley Smith, the former head of the Federal Election Commission, was a witness the defense wanted to bring in. He used to run the Federal Election Commission, and he could explain to the jury that it's not against the law to have non-disclosure agreements. That happens all the time. It's not against the law to pay people consideration, some amount of money for signing a non-disclosure agreement. That happens as well. As for the Federal Election Commission, they decided not to pursue any civil charges against Trump for the whole Stormy Daniels hush money situation, and the U.S. Department of Justice decided that they weren't going to pursue it either. So there's no federal case in that instance. So you've got Alvin Bragg and Judge Merchan trying to attach this misdemeanor to supposed federal felonies that the feds decided they didn't want to pursue. And by the way, only the Federal Department of Justice and the Federal Election Commission have jurisdiction. It's called exclusive jurisdiction to enforce either criminal law or civil law related to the Federal Election Campaign Act. There's no room for that in a city courtroom or a state courtroom. So another aspect of this whole thing was Merchan, New York State judge, and then Alvin Bragg, a New York County DA, trying to enforce federal election law and federal tax law. That's not their. They don't have the right to do that. If you want to bring a case regarding federal election law or federal tax code, you go to the U.S. attorney and you go into a U.S. courthouse or the U.S. district judge, and then you can have a delightful federal case if you want. But you can't do that in New York State court. These people did it anyway. So that again was completely out of their league, out of their lane. So a lot of the discussion we had was about that sort of thing and all these breaches of everything from legal ethics to violating the law, and how the judge, who was highly conflicted with his daughter working for actually running a pro-Democrat campaign organization, making, I think her clients have raised $93 million or something like that, tied to raising money based on this case. Very conflicted judge engaging in legal behavior for which they have no authority and no power. So this is really, truly an out-of-control situation. I think the American people are getting a sense of how totally tyrannical and out of control this was. And that's part of the reason, despite the convictions, that we've seen President Trump's numbers stay about stable, and then a huge explosion in fundraising, $200 million in donations in the first 2 or 3 days after the conviction.
We were talking with Brian Wiggins earlier today in Wiggins America about, this seems to be pushing people, though, who have been on the fence. They haven't been Trump people. In some cases, they've been never Trumpers. But they've looked at this, and it seems to be a point of coalescing together to say, look, I'm not a Trump person for whatever reason that they say that, but this is such a miscarriage of justice. This cannot be the United States of America. We expect this in third world countries. We expect this in communist countries, right, where Putin gets 93% of the vote because he's counting them all, and he says, no, leave 7 so it looks legit, right? Like 93% are going to agree on everything. But it's really destroyed the trust in our justice system in America. But a lot of people seem to be coming together on this. When you're talking to people around Trump and you're tied into those circles, what are they telling you about how is this going to help or hurt the campaign as they move forward?
Well, I think it is helping the campaign because not just in this case in New York, but the Fannie Willis case in Atlanta, the Jack Smith case, which I guess is being argued in Washington, D.C., the documents case down in Florida, all these other cases. It just seems like the whole idea on the part of the Democrats was, okay, let's see if we can go after Trump, tie him down, bankrupt him with legal fees, keep him off the campaign trail, and then get as many convictions against him so the American people say, God, we just really can't have a president of the United States who's a felon. And that this has been their strategy, their lawfare strategy. And it's blown up in their faces. I mean, the more they do this, the higher up in the polls he goes. Now we're seeing with this conviction, apparently there's a feeling on the part of particularly black and Hispanic voters, hey, this guy understands the difficulty we've had at the judicial system. He's now sort of a fellow victim, if you will. And so they're rallying behind him. And so you're seeing his numbers go up in all kinds of places you wouldn't. You saw him in Newark, New Jersey at that UFC event. I think it was on Friday.
Right.
Newark, New Jersey is not mega country. This is heart of Democrat state. Big urban center, and there he is walking into the Prudential Center, getting a standing ovation. People cheering, "We want Trump! We want Trump! We want Trump!" My God! So I think the Democrats have blown it. What they should have done all along is say, "Look, we're just going to run against Donald J. Trump. We will explain why his ideas are not good, why our ideas are better, and so please vote for us." That's normally what we do in this country, but they decided, "No, we won't do that. We'll just try to throw him in jail. We'll just try to imprison him." And you're right; it's like something you'd see out of Paraguay or Swaziland or, Indonesia or Pakistan or who knows where. And instead you're seeing that in the United States of America. And I heard about, I talked to somebody who's at Heritage Foundation. He told me that one of his colleagues was at some international event with a bunch of, thinkers and scholars and whatnot. And the people who were from third world countries are saying, wow, you guys used to be able to hold your heads up high as this great beacon of justice. And now you look kind of like us, you look kind of like, third world backwater. So nice job, Democrats. You've taken the land of the free and the home of the brave and made us look like, a land that's destined for UN care packages.
That is Deroy Murdock. He is a Fox News contributor. You can read this article at the American Spectator. And, man, we appreciate you taking the time today. Thanks for staying up on this, and we will keep reading what you're writing, so keep it up.
All right, Mike. Thanks very much. Take care. Have a good day.
We appreciate the time. We are going to talk to Mike Kehoe on the other side. Just so you know, Annie is up in the air. She is flying right now with the Blue Angels. Brad is on the tarmac and waiting for her to come back and land. Can't wait to hear what she's got to say. I don't know if we're going to hear that today or if she's going to talk about that tomorrow. Probably really depends on how Annie feels once she lands. But we have a YouTube chat poll for you. Let us know, would you fly with the Blue Angels? So go on to our YouTube live chat poll. You can get your vote in there. My name is Mike Elam, sitting in for Annie Fry today. We are going to talk to Missouri's Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe on the other side on 97.1 FM Talk.
The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe. Follow Annie on Twitter @Annie Fry Show.
Stewart's American Mortgage is the home of the bagel loan, and all you got to do is call or text Stewie, and you get him directly when you reach out to 314-324-4440. 314-324-4440. Let me tell you a little bit about the bagel loan and why it's a smart move to start that conversation with Stewie today, because the bagel loan includes no closing costs. You're going to be able to get that great rate that you qualify for, as great as they come, at least these days. And you're going to go through that process, and all of those closing costs that hit right there when, of course, at closing, you're not going to have to pay those with Stewie and Stewart's American Mortgage. He takes care of them for you. He doesn't tuck them away or hide them. They don't exist. You are not on the hook for those. If you're interested in discussing a bagel loan, whether you're looking to purchase or maybe even refinance down from some of the high highs of mortgage rates that we've had here recently, start the conversation with Stewie and make sure you let him know that Annie sent you. 314-324-4440. 314-324-4440. Google the bagel loan for more information. NMLS number 226715.
We used to argue about whose turn it was to clean the gutters, but then I had Leaf Filter gutter protection installed.
Wait, I told you Leaf Filter had free inspections and estimates and a lifetime guarantee.
Meaning we never have to argue about whose turn it is to clean the gutters again.
But I visited leaffilter.com/beacon first.
No, I did.
It doesn't matter who. Visit leaffilter.com/beacon to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off today.
See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
You know, I don't know what is going on here, but I was recently attacked servicing an air conditioner by 2 cicadas. Definitely planned. It had to be planned. One flew right into my mouth, and when I spit that horrible thing out, one came crashing into the back of my head. But I'm just telling you, cicadas don't taste good. They're gross. Something has to be done. So everybody be careful out there with the cicadas. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Be careful with the cicadas. I know there was at least one planned attack on me by 2. But again, this is about air conditioning. So if you do need service on your air conditioner this summer, what works really good, I found, for me and my customers, is if you just save this number, my name and the number in your phone. That is 314-293-2600. Or on the website, and you can see some videos, bartinman.com. That's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com.
Mike Carter here. Too often we lose sight of how fortunate we are to live in Missouri. When I travel out of state on business, people say, Mike Carter, what's so special about Missouri? Well, let's start with the mighty Mississippi and Missouri rivers traversing the state. They were the superhighways of the day, used by French fur trappers and traders. Later, American settlers like Daniel Boone and waves of pioneers drove their teams and wagons along the Boone's Lick Trail he blazed. Carter Law Offices, right now, founded by me, Mike Carter, started and is on Boone's Lick Trail, near where those intrepid settlers crossed the Missouri to harness the land. Rich soils and generations of farm families like my own grandparents made Missouri the breadbasket of America. Drive a few minutes outside our cities and towns, and you'll find yourself passing miles and miles of undulating wheat and corn, farms and ranches that feed our nation. I'm Mike Carter, and I'm proud to live and work in the Show Me State, a place God blessed just a little bit more. Go to MikeCarter.com to see more about our great state of Missouri.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. 9 out of 10 homes are under-insulated. Is yours? Did you know that there's an R value associated with insulation? To find out your R value or for a free insulation estimate, visit aircomfortservice.com.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Wednesday afternoon, the Biden administration finally does something on the border, but it's way too little, way too late. We'll talk about it.
Weekdays from 3 to 6 on 97.1 FM Talk.
It is the Annie Fry Show on 97.1 FM Talk. Mike Elam sitting in for Annie, and if you're just tuning in, Annie is up with the Blue Angels today, and she is flying with them right now. Hopefully, we will get a chance to talk to her a little bit later on. Brad is with her as well. Ryan is out of the studio in the moment, but Ethan is here with me, making sure that we hold the fort down. And at the moment, we have Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe joining us on the phone. Lieutenant Governor, how are you, sir?
Mike, I'm doing great, but I'm a little jealous of Annie.
I know,
you
isn't
want to
that
be
cool?
Up on one of those bad boys?
Well, and that's our YouTube live chat poll of the day of would you fly with the Blue Angels? Have you flown with the Blue Angels?
I have not flown with them. I would do so in a heartbeat. Yes.
I'm with you. I think that would be cool.
I think it would be unbelievable. Now, I have flown in a P-51, which was the World War II version of the Blue Angel, as a 12-cylinder Rolls-Royce radial engine on it, and it produces a lot of Gs, and that was an incredible World War II historic bird that I was able to fly in many years ago, sponsoring a Veterans Air Show. But I have not been in a Blue Angel or any modern-day jet. I would love to do that.
That's a little different G-force.
Yeah, it's a little different. It's the modern version of a G-force. That's correct.
Hey, are you still the acting governor, or is Governor Parson back?
No, Governor Parson is back. I believe our executive order expired at midnight last night, so we're back to just doing the things we do as lieutenant governor and out traveling the state to spread the good word.
Well, you got an opportunity to actually, you were our active governor while he was gone, and unfortunately, you had the opportunity to file some joint damage assessments because of some damage that we've had here in Missouri.
Yeah, we really were unfortunate as a state. Fortunate in that we had a fatality in Sikeston, but when you went and saw the damage up and down the 60 corridor, all the way from Mountain View through Dexter and into Sikeston, we're very fortunate we didn't have more serious injury or additional fatalities. A heck of a storm that went on over Memorial Day weekend. Really was impressed with how the community came together to get a lot of things cleaned up and businesses open and homes repaired. And Red Cross set up a shelter in the YMCA at Sykes, and I was able to go down and go through the damage with local elected officials, the state senator, state representatives, the mayor, chief of police, the sheriff, and others. And then the governor had an executive order out there from some storms earlier in May that would help communities rebuild. And I was able to, as acting governor, extend the deadline of that executive order so we could include the damage down in southeast Missouri. And those communities, I should say, were very grateful for that action.
Well, we appreciate you filling in for the time that you had, and it was a nice way to test drive the seat that you're running for right now. Where do I find you today? Every time I talk to you, you're somewhere else in the state of Missouri.
Well, it's crazy. We started our bus tour last week, and in a day and a half, we went from St. Charles to Troy to New London to Hannibal to Monroe City to Moberly to Salisbury to Carrollton and Marshall. This week, we've been in Sedalia, yesterday in St. Louis. This morning, I was in Columbia. Now I'm headed to Mexico, Missouri. Tomorrow, we'll be in Camdenton, Lebanon, Marshfield, and Branson. On Friday, we'll be in Springfield, Bolivar, and Lake Ozark. And on Saturday, we'll be in Sedalia again for the annual Missouri Cattlemen's Association meeting they call the steak fry. So we are not letting any grass grow under our feet.
So how many days away from primary election are we?
62.
62.
Not that I'm counting.
Exactly.
You want to know the hours as well or just the days?
It's counting down as we get there. So I'm assuming that you and Claudia are just basically living on the bus at this point.
Yeah, we've got great team around us. And I would tell you, Mike, the most humbling thing, we have an incredible group of volunteers in every corner of the state that's helping us at a lot of these stops. The crowds have been unbelievable. The excitement is, to me, very humbling, to be honest with you. And Claudia's a trooper. She's the oldest of 7, so she knows how to kind of wear herself out, and the mother of 4 along with me. So she understands the importance this election brings and the directional difference, quite frankly, of what my leadership skills would lend towards the state versus the other folks on the Republican ballot.
So as you're going through these last 62 days, are you hearing any changes of issues that are coming to people's mind? You just had Joe Biden, who obviously is locking down the border now. He's only allowing 2,500 people to illegally come into America a day. You still get to come into America illegally. Is the big
would it be rude to laugh at his executive action? If you want to talk about a campaign stunt, somebody who hasn't done anything with the border has created this problem, who has let over 10 million illegal aliens in, now all of a sudden says, hey, I've got this kind of half a order where I think it will work, and kind of, to your point, you still let some people in. We're kind of turning our back, but we're acting like we're doing something. It's ridiculous. Joe Biden owns this. Joe Biden owns the deaths that have come with the fentanyl that's come across the border, and that absolutely hangs on him. And he is the one who is creating our incredibly horrible border policy. He has reversed almost 100 executive actions that President Trump did, and that's what's led to the border crisis. And for now, all of a sudden, for him to act like he's doing something is really a farce. The American people are much smarter than that, Mike, and I know they'll see through his actions and understand this is still a crisis. As you know, I've been down there twice. We need to make sure we secure our border and secure America's future by doing so.
We were talking with Congressman Luetkemeyer last hour, who I know is a good friend of yours, and I think Missouri is going to miss him not being in that seat. But he serves on a special task force for China, and he was talking about how many young Chinese men have been pouring into the United States, especially over the last few months. And it really seems like it's an effort that is organized and planned.
Yeah. Let me just say, first of all, Blaine Luetkemeyer has been an incredible public servant, both at the state level in the House and the director of tourism, and now serving in Congress for several terms. He is a good friend of mine, but he's a good friend of Missouri.
Yes.
He has done a great job for his district. He is who he is. He's an honest broker. He's a hard worker. He and Jackie are great people. They're family. I know them very well. They're from a nice little town, St. Elizabeth in Miller County, and we are going to greatly miss Blaine Luetkemeyer. He's been a rock star, but he hit the nail on the head, and you did too. Chinese don't just do anything by mistake. Everything they do is planned. There's a reason behind everything that happens out of there because there's no free will over there. You do what you're told to do. So if there's tens of thousands of young Chinese immigrants, young men coming in through the border and mainly on the western side of the border towards Arizona and California, as I understand, that's happening by design would be my guess on that.
You know, you've talked about the fact of after you win the election, you have things that you are going to sign right away. And talking about these people coming across the border with bad intentions for our country, one of the big things that you've talked about is you've got a crime plan that you plan to sign as the very first thing. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, what I've said is when my hand comes off the Bible, the first thing we're going to do is enact our day one crime plan. And as you know, I've been fortunate to receive and earn the endorsements of the statewide Fraternal Order of Police, the State Troopers Association, the first time in 42 years, the National Troopers Association. We have a couple other law enforcement agencies that you'll be hearing about soon that are getting behind us, and they're getting behind us because they know that we know how to be tough on crime. We're going to enact a plan that they helped design. Feature that. The men and ladies who are actually protecting our communities are actually giving us input on the best way to do that, which is something unusual. Politicians, usually bureaucrats, develop stuff inside a little bubble and don't check with anybody. We're actually taking the men and women who are facing these problems and having them come to the table and help us design this plan. We're pretty far down with how that's going to look. We'll get more details as we get closer to the election. But let me say that this is going to be the most friendliest state in the union for law enforcement officers, period. We are going to make these men and women know how much we appreciate them from one community to the next, to keeping our citizens safe and returning our neighborhoods to a place that people can feel comfortable hanging out in.
You know, a lot of people give me grief because every time I'm on, I've always talked so glowingly about St. Charles County. And I believe St. Charles County is doing a lot of things right. But one of the things that I talk about is the difference between St. Louis City and St. Charles County is one is surviving and the other is thriving. And the difference between surviving and thriving is a lot of what you're just talking to. An expectation that I am safe in my neighborhood. And unfortunately, for a lot of people in the city of St. Louis, and for a lot of people who come down and visit in the city of St. Louis, that expectation of safety is just not there. And if you don't have the expectation that you're safe, you can't build from there. It's the old biblical passage of building your house on the rock as opposed to building your house on the sand. St. Louis can't build until they fix that particular problem. And the citizens here and the visitors who come here have an expectation that they are safe.
Well, let me circle back to the first part of your statement. Your prosecutor is making a huge difference in St. Charles County. You and I both know him well.
Yep.
He and his team absolutely are backing the cops. They are putting the bad guys away and keeping them away. Prosecutors make a big difference in communities, and obviously Mr. McCullough has done a fantastic job in that, along with the backing he gets from you guys from St. Charles County and from the various cities within St. Charles County. But in St. Louis City, you're right. Gabe Gore now, in defense of him, has done a fantastic job of really turning around the absentee of Kim Gardner, a person who really wasn't even in office. I'm a big fan of what he's doing. I'm a big fan of Chief Tracy. We've got to get the local elected officials, though, who are in that community to understand we have to let these guys get out and do their job.
Yes.
And if they can do that, we can bring St. Louis back to the place you and I remember walking to the ballpark and taking a bus to various events down there. Because you're right, the basic foundation to economic development and a thriving community is safety and controlling crime. If you don't have that footing in your house, you are not going to get built very far. You'll never get to a second or third story. And the minute that St. Louis starts working on and taking their crime problem seriously, let's Gabe Gore do his job, let's Chief Tracy do his job, get serious about backing the men and women who are walking those streets, they can fix that problem. just as St. Charles County has. People don't know, they're not messing around over there. The bad guys know where the crime is taken seriously, and they certainly have that pegged for St. Charles County not to be there, and for St. Louis City to just go crazy.
Not saying that we don't have issues in St. Charles County. We do. It's just different issues than what we have there. Beyond crime, as you just laid out a whirlwind tour that you're doing on the bus. The bus looks amazing, by the way. I saw the video of that. What a great idea. But as you're crossing, what are the other things that people are bringing up to you and saying, Governor, we need to tackle this. Beyond crime, where do we go from here?
Well, economic issues. How are we going to build our state's economy? What opportunities are going to provide for Missourians? What are we doing to expand existing businesses? What are we doing to bring businesses here? Missourians are hard workers. They just want an opportunity to provide for their family, just like my family had growing up in very humble conditions. We just want opportunities to provide for our families. Certainly, the national situation with inflation is on everybody's mind. I hope that we can make a change in November by reelecting Donald J. Trump and getting inflation back under control and this crazy Bidenomics out of the way. That's big on people's minds. And then last but not least, Mike, education reform is a big issue. Being able to make sure our kids have options, being able to make sure we understand how to find the right path for our young men and ladies, whether that's a career and technical education after 12th grade, a community college, or a four-year college. That whole workforce development piece that goes with education reform, I think is really, really important to people that we should make sure we get right and continue to focus on.
We're talking with Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe. We appreciate you making some time for us today. 62 days as you make the run for the finish line. So be safe out there as you're driving in the bus.
All right, buddy. It's always great to be on with you. I appreciate it. And I look forward to hearing about Annie's experience with those Blue Angels.
So what we're seeing is Brad is back live. So if you want to go to the Annie Fry YouTube live chat or live site, you can see the plane hasn't made its way back to the tarmac yet, but we're hoping to find out there. We'll get you up in a plane maybe next year when the Blue Angels come around.
If we ever have an opportunity, don't worry about calling and finding me. Just say yes, and I'll be there.
I appreciate it. Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe joining us today on the Annie Fry Show. Take care, sir.
See you, buddy. Thank you.
We will continue the big award-winning radio show. It's the Annie Fry Show. Mike Elam sitting in for Annie today while she is out flying with the United States Navy Blue Angels, and hopefully we'll get an update on that coming up. You're listening to St. Louis's home for conservative talk. This is 97.1 FM Talk.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Summer is finally here, and that means it's time to take advantage of Zero Res's best deal of the summer. Basically, every surface in your home can be Zero Resified.
Okay,
it's
guys,
time to
here
call
she comes.
the cleaning pros here in St. Louis and get 3 rooms cleaned starting at $129. This is a great time also to get your air ducts cleaned. If you haven't done that, $50 off the air duct package. And, we've had all kinds of stuff in the air, including cicadas. I don't think you have cicadas in the ductwork, but you can alleviate allergies and asthma, less dust, lower energy bills, and your home is going to stay cleaner longer. I love Zero Res. They've been in my home many, many times over the years. They have awesome crews, friendly, professional, and you have the legendary 30-day value-added guarantee. If you haven't had the carpets cleaned in a while, certainly if you haven't had it, it's time to do it. Take advantage right now. You got to mention my name or 97.1 FM Talk. It's super easy to do. Call 314-474-2020 or online, ZeroResSTL.com. You spell it backward or forward, it spells the same. Zero Res.
Outdoor Living Redefined, brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design, your trusted partner in crafting stunning decks, inviting screened rooms, and elegant porch overhangs. Imagine enjoying a crisp morning coffee on your beautifully designed deck or hosting gatherings in a spacious screened room. Lakeside turns your vision into reality. Our skilled craftsmen use top-notch materials to create spaces that stand up to the elements and stand out in style. Elevate your lifestyle with Lakeside's outdoor living expertise. Visit our showroom or call Lakeside Renovation and Design today.
Hello, Mike Carter here. I wonder if you knew that after the purchase of the Louisiana Territory in 1804,
A formal three-flag ceremony was held in St. Louis to mark the transfer. The Spanish flag lowered and the French tricolor raised. That in turn was lowered the next day and the flag of the young Republic of the United States stood tall. I'm Mike Carter of Carter Law Offices here, and at that moment the people living here went from being subjects to being citizens of a great free nation. Jump ahead 220 years to what we have become, and over 6 million men, women, and children now call Missouri home. Our largest cities are an economic powerhouse, and our small towns and family farms remain the heart of the nation. A friend wrote me one time at Carter Law Offices, "Hey, Mike Carter, why don't Missouri residents show their pride by flying our state flag more often like the folks in Texas?" I was like, that's
just
a
number
really
7,
great
Rick.
idea. And I was thinking, maybe anybody who's listening to this, if you want to send me an email at mike@carterlegal.com with your name and address if you're okay doing so, and I'll send you a free state flag, and you can hang it out on your front porch and show everybody you're as proud of Missouri as I am.
Mark Cox here. My friends at Whiskey Dickerson are hard at work cranking out a brand new line of t-shirts, hoodies, and hats with hard-working, self-reliant patriots like you and mine. Whether you're the subtle and tasteful type or you'd rather push the First Amendment to the limits, Whiskey Dickerson has just the shirt for you. Right now, get 20% off by entering promo code 971 at checkout. Whiskey Dickerson is giving a voice to the silent majority. So if you like your coffee strong and your tea in the harbor, go to whiskeydickerson.com.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
Del Walmsley and the Wealth Cycle.
This is the wealth cycle that I've taught for 30 years. Buy one house, 10 houses, an apartment, 2 apartments, 8, 20, 500 units, 1,000 units, 2,000, 5,000 units. And as you keep putting the money and the profits back in, you become one of those rich people. And much quicker than you'd even believe.
Learn Dell's Wealth Cycle at GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. Use promo code 2024. Save 60%. Code 2024. GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. GiveMeTotalFreedom.com.
We are currently on Blue Angel watch. The plane is not landed. Elvis is not in the building. Annie is still in the air. But we're live streaming it if you want to see it. Brad is out there live streaming for when the plane does land. He is right there on the spot. We'll let you know as it happens as much as we can, because we can't hear her, but we can see her just like you can. It is 1:47. Hey, it's time to give away James Taylor tickets. So if you want to see James Taylor at the Hollywood Casino Amphitheater tomorrow night, call right now, 314-241-9797. That phone number again, 314-241-9797. The 11th caller will win a pair of tickets to see James Taylor tomorrow night at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater. 147. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
June 27th, the first presidential debate. You can only hear it here on 97.1 FM Talk. But you're also invited to the party. We're all getting together at Dave & Buster's. Details are at 971talk.com/events.
It is the Annie Fry Show on 97.1 FM Talk. Mike Elam sitting in for Annie Fry today. We're getting our winner for those James Taylor tickets. I want to go see James Taylor tomorrow. I completely missed the fact that James Taylor is going to be here. I saw James Taylor, hang on, I'm really freaking old. This would have been 87, 88. I saw James Taylor in Little Rock. He literally has been around that long.
It was about that same time that I saw him on Sesame Street. And I became a fan because he was playing with Muppets.
How old were you?
Let's see, this was 80, you said 88?
Yeah.
Well, at that time, I probably wasn't watching Sesame Street. I would have been 7. I was watching Sesame Street when I was 3, so this would have been 84 that I was introduced to James Taylor.
No, you were probably watching it at 7 also.
I can't say I wasn't, but I know that at 3 o'clock, or at 3 years old, I was watching it at every time it aired. Like, it aired 3 times a day on PBS.
Did it really?
And I would watch it every time. It was the same episode. I would just watch this. I was glued to it, man.
So Funny
Impressive
story.
that he remembers that.
Funny story that you say it was the same episode. So when my daughter was younger, Hannah Montana was all the rage, right? So that was the show. I can honestly say I have never sat down and watched a Hannah Montana episode. However, in my house, the family room rolls into the kitchen, right? So my daughter used to watch Hannah Montana in the family room on the big TV. And I came home from work one day and I was talking to my wife in the kitchen and I watched like 30 seconds of the Hannah Montana show. And I'm like, weren't you just watching this show yesterday or day before? And she goes, no, this is a new one. I said, no, she does blah, 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 blah. And my daughter turned around and looked at me like, how do you know that? How do you know that's what's going to happen? I'm like, how do you not? You've seen this show. There's got to be 4 of these. I think there were only 4 Hannah Montana episodes because every time she turned it on, I'm like, you've seen this. I've seen this show. And I didn't watch the show. I want to be clear about that. I didn't watch the show.
Yeah, just like me and Sister. It was just on.
And it was. It was just playing in the background all the time. You would get enough of it to where you would see it. It's like, okay. But she would sit there and watch the same show over and over and over and over again. By the way, Annie Fry has landed.
All right, Elvis is in the building.
Or at least on the tarmac. Exactly. He's ordering a hamburger. So we'll see how that goes.
That's banana and peanut butter.
There you go. I'm looking forward to seeing how does Annie get out of this plane? Like, is she going to be okay?
I hope she hits the ejector. Like on the runway.
That would be the pilot. The pilot would be like, get the hell out of... Yeah, so there you go.
I wonder what happens if you hit... Like, can you do that when you're on the tarmac?
I'm sure you can.
Okay.
I mean, there's got to be some sort of safety protocol that is built into this thing to where they have that, to where you can. But
you're looking at me like I would know the answer to
I don't know, man. I'm drafting. My knowledge of these aircraft is professional. Right? So after magic and do, turn it off. But I'm just a goose that you see that didn't work out.
You mentioned the D-force.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I was like, hey, I know what that is.
I never thought about that. Blue Angels documentary. And he's giving us a thumbs up, though, from the cockpit.
Okay, so she's alive.
So we see the glass going up and the ladder coming down. So there you go. We will. I'm curious to see, is Annie going to get out first, or is it going to be the pilot?
I think I'm going to guess it's ladies first.
Well,
but maybe he's going to help her out.
Maybe. Maybe.
I'm assuming that one of the crew members is going to have to hop up in there and unbuckle her. I'm sure
Walrus,
the captain
I think it's
said,
perfect just the way it is.
Do not unbuckle your seatbelt until the plane has come to a complete halt.
Keep your hands and feet inside the vehicle at all
times. Before you open those overhead bins, things do adjust during flight.
So I guess there's protocols here, and I don't know if this is every commercial flight, but the guy walks up, puts a ladder up there, and then he walks back to the wheels. He puts a couple of bricks under them. Like, it just seems amazing to me.
Shouldn't I have done the bricks first?
This thing is going 400, 500 miles an hour, and like I got to put these bricks here so it doesn't move again. Yeah, I don't know. It just seems funny to me, like that. And it's nothing. It's not like a special. It's just a brick. There's no special machinery here. He's just throwing a couple bricks under the tires.
So the pilot did get out first, just in case you're not watching the live stream. By the way, you can follow along at the Annie Fry YouTube channel right now. You can go on there and check it out. You can also do our live chat poll of the day, which is, would you fly with the United States Navy Blue Angels? So the pilot came down. The crew member is climbing up in there, and she is unbuckling Annie as we speak.
She is stuck in the cockpit.
Annie is.
That's the way it looks. So I don't know if she'll be back today or maybe the rest of the week. She looks like she's.
Are you going to host?
I don't know. I don't know. We didn't expect this.
So I'll be back tomorrow. No, we'll see.
She's going to still be there tomorrow. She's having a tough time.
It looks like she's getting her unbuckled. She's got the helmet off, so the blonde hair is flowing right now. Her family is there on the tarmac, by the way, and they're all waiting. And thanks to Brad for doing all these live stream video and handling all that today. If you want to check that out, you can go do that on the live stream. Who knows if we're going to get a chance to talk to them later on today. But in the next hour, we are going to have Battlehawks tickets. The conference championship is coming up this Sunday. We are going to have your chance to be there live after they win that game, because I'm positive about that. As they roll into the following week is when we're going to have the championship that's going to happen. So Battlehawks are killing it again. They've got an opportunity to take care of that. It's been a big show so far today.
She knows how to hit a hard break, doesn't she? We have a minute left before she hits the hard break, and she is climbing down the ladder right now.
So here she comes.
So we may be going to this live in the break once we hit the radio break. Keep watching if you're online. Kids running up, hugging mom. Couple comments here. One from Amy says, Annie, are you okay? I love that.
Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie?
Somebody else.
Michael Jackson reference of the day.
Carol says, I think they flew over our house. Okay.
Love that.
I think they flew over mine, too.
So Annie is waving to us. You can go check out the live stream right now.
Not terrible.
She is talking, but we cannot hear her. So we will figure out how that goes. But we did get a thumbs up. She looks no worse for the wear.
So
I'm
bananas.
sure that was very exciting. She has some water because she's going to need to hydrate after all that stress.
She got a good nap today.
We will talk more about that on the other side of this break. It's Mike Elam sitting in on the Annie Fry Show today while she's out playing Blue Angel. She's always our angel. On 97.1 FM Talk.
Surprise! Surprise! You know, surprise parties, they can be fun, right? Well, financial surprises, not so much. Especially...
That's the sneak to room. You'll know it when it happens.
They're doing a photo shoot. Okay. All right, so we do a picture chat? Oh,
yeah, let's do it.
We'll do as a backyard. We hold some might be like passed out here right now. Don't do that. That would be terrible.
I'm so sweaty. Brad, are your legs sweaty? Mine are too.
Thanks so much.
Dad, I need a change.
Yeah. Yeah. Sit down. Sit for a minute.
How was it?
It's indescribable, honestly. It's a real honor to be able to have done it.
What's your favorite part?
Landing. Just being up there. I mean, honestly, seeing what they see all the time, it's just pretty amazing. And to think that they're equipped to do this, to defend our country, is pretty awesome. So, this is so cool. Yeah, it's very nice. Oh, there it is. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You're welcome. It's a pleasure. Of course. Bye. Thank you so much. All right. Now what?
Is that good?
Good. Challenge.
Cool down a bit.
Yes. Yes, I need to sit down. Very bad. Oh, thank you. All right. Let me see.
All right, guys, that's it. Thanks for hanging with us.
News on Capitol Hill. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. House Republicans accusing members of President Biden's family of making false statements to Congress. The chairs of 3 House committees just issuing criminal referrals against the president's brother James Biden and son Hunter, recommending the Justice Department prosecute them for testimony during a year-long impeachment inquiry over ties between the president and his son's business dealings. This as Hunter Biden's federal trial continues in Delaware. The president's son accused of lying about drug use when he purchased a gun in 2018. Prosecutors putting his ex-wife and ex-girlfriend on the stand today.
His attorney, though, has shown jurors bank records that indicate Hunter was buying a lot of alcohol at that time, and confirmed with an FBI agent investigating the case that in Hunter's book, he did not write about looking for drugs or wanting crack around the time he'd purchased a firearm.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. Democrats in the Senate are set to hold a test vote on a bill aimed at protecting contraception.
The Right to Contraception Act would codify the right to birth control, Plan B, and IUDs in a federal law. Majority Leader Chuck Schumer wants to put Republicans on the spot.
This is not a show vote. This is a show us who you are vote.
But some Republicans have pushed back, saying a show vote is exactly what it is.
Fox's Ron Schmelz on Capitol Hill. Texas Republican Senator John Cornyn says the bill could force religious organizations to pay for services they oppose, and that accusations birth control is in jeopardy are blatantly false. The Pentagon not confirming reports that Ukraine fired U.S. weapons at targets in Russia after President Biden tweaked weapons rules.
I can't confirm that right now. I'd have to refer you to the Ukrainians to speak to their operations and any weapons used.
Deputy Pentagon spokesperson Sabrina Singh, as Russia's President Putin warns Germany not to follow suit. Putin today also insisting that Russia didn't start the war with Ukraine. America is listening to Fox News.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, a Pfizer vaccine.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Some delightful weather on the way as we snap the unsettled weather pattern. Partly sunny skies, a slow drop in the humidity this afternoon. 85 for the high. Tonight, clear skies, 65. Thursday, sunny, 82. Thursday night, clear skies, 62. Friday, sunny, and 82. Not bad at all. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Window World, you find them online at windowworld.com. These windows are the ones that they are proud to boast are simply the best for less. Both of those points are very important, quality and value, and Window World is there to represent each and every time. If you're interested in a window replacement free estimate in your home, just call them at 314-993-1800. Window World prides itself on making this an easy experience for you so that when you learn about the windows that they have to sell, you don't feel like you're in the super high pressure, like hostage situation type of deal. That's not at all what you get from Window World. You're going to get honest people with great windows to sell you at a wonderful price. Plus, they're going to pair that with the possibility of 36 months, same as cash financing when you apply for it. You qualify 3 years of payments and you don't have to pay anything extra over that amount of time. Simply the best for less. Window World Windows. Reach out to them at 314-993-1800, 314-993-1800. One more time, 314-993-1800, online at windowworld.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
At Onder Law, we deliver big judgments for the little guy. Onder Law takes on the biggest industries and holds them accountable. Call today for a free review at 314 or 618-9000000.
I'm Tom Ackerman with this month's Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight, and we are joined by Dr. Slade Stratton, dermatologic surgeon. What are the signs and symptoms of skin cancer?
Anything new, growing, changing,
And on top of that, for sure, anything that it hurts, all should be concerns that, prompt you to go see your doctor.
Special thanks to Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. For more information, go to siteman.wustl.edu.
More good news for Frederick Roofing, voted best roofing company by the St. Louis Post-Dispatch.
For a hole in your roof or a whole new roof, Frederick Roofing.
314-645-2000.
Thinking of popping the question? Diamonds Direct has an offer you can't miss. This month only, buy a natural diamond engagement ring of 1 carat plus and receive a free natural 1 carat diamond tennis bracelet valued at $2,000. Imagine giving her the ring of her dreams and her wedding gift all at once. No one provides education, selection, and value like Diamonds Direct. Your chance to get a free tennis bracelet from your friends at Diamonds Direct won't last long. Details at diamondsdirect.com.
Do you have multiple years of unfiled taxes or owe more than $8,000? The tax attorneys at Allies Tax Relief are your ally and will stop the IRS from garnishing your wages or them levying your bank account. Call 800-230-5174.
The National Memorial of Military Ascent is on a mission to create a first-class Veterans Memorial Complex in Grafton, Illinois. Sue Thomas here. Conservatives Care is honoring our veterans. Learn more at 971talk.com/care.
The Annie Fry Show YouTube live chat poll of the day is sponsored by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
You need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
It is an award-winning day on the Annie Fry Show today. It's Mike Elam sitting in for Annie. That is not what makes it award-winning, but it's pretty cool that Annie got the opportunity to go fly with the U.S. Navy Blue Angels, who, by the way, are here for the air show. Are you going to the air show this weekend? Anybody?
I am not, but I've been to air shows in the past, and it's different with kids. When I went without kids, I was like, oh, okay, I had fun, but with kids. And the anticipation that they have while you're sitting there waiting for it, it's a different experience.
It is. I am looking for a different experience this year. So my wife just texted me. She is on a girls' trip to Vegas.
Oh.
So I am a bachelor until Sunday afternoon. Sunday from 5 to 9, I get the opportunity to go to Lincoln Days in Lincoln County. So Chad Perkins and I are going to actually MC Lincoln Days up there. So I'm looking forward to that. But in the meantime, I am planning on going to a friend of mine lives just above Spirit of St. Louis Airport, and he is hosting a party. And I have never been to this, but the St. Louis Ambassadors is the group there who hosts this party every year for the air show. And they say that the Blue Angels use his house as a marker. So when they get to his house, they flip and go straight up. And in some past years, they have been so close to his house, you can see the pilots while they're there as they're flying by his house. And one year, he said they got really close to the house, and when they flipped to go straight up, the jets blew out some of his windows. Like,
wow.
Boom.
Well, you're not kidding. That's close.
That's close. Right. So I have not been a part of this yet, but I appreciate Sicardi Bruce opening up his house and putting this together, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity of doing this. It's probably as close as I'm going to come to flying with the Blue Angels, because I don't even know if you can get my fat butt in a Blue Angel jet. I'd probably have to lose some weight to fit into that thing. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
I mean, sorry.
Thanks very much.
I was really waiting to see where he was going to go, because he was just kind of
Wiggins was just kind of nodding his head in agreement. I was like, yikes, this is it. And then
he's like, yeah.
He just full on said it. All right.
You do need to lose 50 pounds, Mike. But beyond that, that's kind of where we're going. So I'm looking forward to going out and seeing this because it's a different perspective, right? It's not being on the ground. It's being up and being able to look down on it. So I'm looking forward to doing that. There is so much going on this weekend. I mean, we've got the Battlehawks that we're going to give the tickets away for. We just gave away tickets to James Taylor, which is tomorrow night that's going on. Lots and lots of stuff that is happening out there. But I want to go back to one of the things that Wiggins America that we talked about earlier today. And one of the things I was kind of curious about from a listener standpoint, and thanks to everybody, by the way, who's been really active on the YouTube chat today. Man, you guys are always here and always sometimes I just watch you guys argue with each other in the chat. So it's kind of fun to watch you guys go back and forth with that. I'm just sitting back being a voyeur and watching what you're talking about. One of the things that I'm curious about, though, so many races going on, and Donald Trump and Joe Biden are just sucking all the oxygen out of the room. Everybody's talking about that. And we talked about the 6 states earlier that you said it's kind of looking like it's going to come down to. And right now, it looks like Trump would get the edge. If the vote was today, Trump would get the edge. But looking at all the other races, are you paying attention to those? Have you started to look at? I mean, we had Blaine Luetkemeyer on earlier in the 1 o'clock or in the noon hour, and he is not running, but you have a number of people who are running for the 3rd Congressional District. Josh Hawley is running for re-election for Senate. You have multiple people who are running for governor. I was just reading an article that is in the Post-Dispatch today that said the race for Missouri treasurer is heating up as candidates prep for ads and host fundraisers. We are 62 days away from the Missouri primary. 62 days. I got to tell you, I have been surprised by the lack of political things I have seen. Not a lot of signs, not a lot of ads. I mean, I see Mike Kehoe billboards all over the place, but I think that's an agreement that he has with Drury because they're all Drury billboards that I see all over the place. But with the exception of Mike Carter, who is running, by the way, I think, what is he running for? I forgot what he's running for right now. Is he running for? He's not running for Congress.
He doesn't say in his ads always, so I don't actually know. He's certainly advertising.
I thought he was going to run for, I think he's running for Secretary of State. I think that's right. I think he's running for Secretary of State, which, you had, like Bob Onder was going to run for Lieutenant Governor. He pulled out of that. He's running for Congress now for Blaine Luetkemeier's seat. You had Mary Elizabeth Coleman was going to run for that same seat. She pulled out of the congressional race, and she moved to Secretary of State.
Right.
The Speaker of the House pulled out of the lieutenant governor's race at the last day of filing, and he went to the Secretary of State's race. Adam Schwadron is in that Secretary of State's race, along with, there's literally like 9 people, like legit candidates who have been elected in other offices, and I mean state rep, state senate, that are running for Secretary of State. And then you have the treasurer's race that you have so Vivek Malik is our current treasurer. Cody Smith, who is the budget chair for the House, who's down in Springfield, he is running for that. Andrew Koenig, who is terming out, who is a senator over in West County down to Eureka, he is running for this. And a lawyer, Lori Rook. I didn't even know Lori Rook was in this race, right? There's so many people running for so many races. Are you paying attention? And if you are, how deep into this are you? Because, in 62 days, you're going to be asked to walk in and figure that out, which, by the way, there are at least 2 statewide ballot issues that are going to be on the ballot as well. That is all being formulated and put into that. I'm curious how people are sorting through all of this. And if you have, in the latest poll that Bill Eigel had pushed out like a week and a half ago, 42%, like we talked about earlier, are still trying to figure out who they like for governor. There are a number of people who are running for governor, but it's really a three-horse race with Mike Kehoe, Jay Ashcroft, and Bill Eigel. Those are really your three candidates that are up for that. What do you think? Are people able to take in all this, or when do you think they'll start paying attention?
Well, I stumbled across a really interesting little tidbit in the small type of that Forbes article that I was talking about during Wiggins America. That was talking about the big swing states for president, and we talked about the 6 that are going to decide it, and the 3 that look like Nevada, Georgia, and Arizona that are very much trending Trump, which means he would only have to win one of the other 3, or really one of many other states, but those 3 being the most likely: Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. But in the tiny type at the bottom of that article, it goes into some of the methods, and this isn't one poll, so
Right.
it's not doing crosstabs, which I will look at if I need to. But this one,
don't threaten me.
I know. Yeah,
I'll look at crosstabs.
I'll look at crosstabs.
Oh.
You go to your room. This one says, it has one line that really stuck out to me because I haven't seen a lot of polling on this issue. It says voters are historically disengaged in this year's election.
Wow.
According to some polls, including an April NBC survey showing the share of voters who say they have high interest in this year's contest reached a 20-year low.
Man.
And we're talking about presidential.
Okay.
Not the other races.
That's just the president part.
So you're talking about all these races that are down ballot, and some of these are not like small races. You're talking about the governor's race.
Yes.
But are people not paying attention as much in this year's election just because, and to races like you're talking about, Secretary of State and governor and treasurer, because they're so, I guess, blasé about these 2 guys again?
Well, we've heard for a while now that an awful lot of people are disenfranchised by their choices of they don't want Trump, they don't want Biden, they want another choice, but they're not going to get another choice. I mean, sure, you have other people who are going to be on the ballot, but let's be honest. It's going to be Trump or Biden. We all know that. As I look up at Kennedy on the screen right now, there is no way in God's green earth that Kennedy has a shot to be president, right? And although Trump and Biden are not spring chickens, so I guess then again, neither is Kennedy.
You'd think this would be a year where third-party candidates would have a better shot than usual.
You would,
but it's just not happening.
With this many people who are unhappy with the choices that you have, it speaks to the disenfranchisement that the article is talking about. And I'm curious. We had almost 160 million people vote in the last presidential. In 20 between those. I'm curious how many we're going to have this time. Is it going to be more? Is it going to be less? Are people just going to be fed up with the fact that I don't like these 2 guys, so I'm not going to come out? And if that's the case, what's going to happen with all the down ballot stuff? I mean, if you don't care about president, that's a big one. It doesn't get any bigger, right? If you don't care about president, I can only imagine how much you're going to care about Cody Smith being the treasurer.
You're exactly right. And here's the other thing, though. This probably, if that stat is true, that probably benefits Trump.
I would think so.
Because when you look at 2020 and the people that turned out in 2020, it was a historic high.
Yes.
And yet, the amount of people that won him the election was about 40,000 in 3 states.
But I think you're talking about excitement and an energetic voter.
Yes, I am. And I've said it before on this show that there's a term that we used a lot in 2016 and 2020 that we haven't used much in 2024, and I'm not really sure why.
And what's that?
It's the hidden Trump voter.
Oh, yeah.
So we'd be looking at polls and saying, well, does this actually show everybody who's going to vote for Trump?
Right.
And guess what? It didn't.
Yes.
In the off-year elections, they were much more accurate, the polls were. But when it comes to Trump, there are a lot of people who show up who just never show up for other elections. And they don't answer to polls, and they don't answer to anything. I mean, they're like off the grid. They don't want to be known. They're just going to show up probably on November 5th, and that's it.
Well, and Trump flipped so many people who never would have voted for a Republican before. Like, I remember the 2016 election, and I don't remember if it was John Hancock or who was talking about the fact an awful lot of people who are they were retired union guys, okay, they voted Democrat their entire life. They're 70, 80 years old. They would say, I would never put a Trump sign in my yard, but me and all of my buddies who meet at McDonald's at 6 a.m. and have coffee, right? They are all voting Trump. They never did that. And if you look at the Republican Party and the Democrat Party, it used to be that the unions were all Democrat, and then you had more of you would call them wealthy elites, I guess, at the time. That was more of a Republican voter. I think you've seen that over the last 8 years completely flip. I mean, in 2022, when I was going door to door running for county council, I ran into an awful lot of Trump union voters. I saw those signs all the time. I mean, I'd knock on their door, and they would have a sign hanging up in their garage that's a Trump sign. And they would have a sign in their yard that said Proud Union Household. I mean, it completely flipped things from where it used to be. And now you have your wealthy elites that are the big Democrat donors. All of those are the ones who are giving there to the Democrat Party and not to the Republican Party anymore. It's funny of how he's completely reset the party.
Well, to wrap up your point about elections just this year in general, though, you are 100% right about signs. You're not seeing political signs almost anywhere. Now, some cities have limits on when you can even put them out.
Right.
So candidates, especially lower tier candidates, have to wait. And maybe it will pick up the closer we get. I'm sure it will. But usually by the summer, in a presidential year, you're starting to see signs.
By June? Yeah.
Sure. And I don't know about you, but I'm not seeing anything, Trump or Biden. I'm not seeing signs, period.
No, not for those guys. And it's very rare that I'm seeing signs for other elections.
Yeah.
I mean, believe it or not, the signs that I've seen, so we have a circuit judge election in St. Charles County. And Dennis Chasnall, Robert Corneo, and Thornhill are all running for that side. Thornhill put his signs up like in April, like the beginning of April. He put his signs up all over the county. That's the only signs, with the exception of, like I talked about, the billboards for Kehoe. Those are the only signs that I've seen to this point. And like Mike Kehoe was talking about last hour, we are 62 days away from the primary. At what point are people going to start engaging? At what point are they going to start paying attention? Or, to what your article talks about, are they?
And Mike Kehoe is smart to get out in front of it. I mean, It helps having more of a budget than the other candidates.
Yeah, when you're sitting on $9 million, it is easier to get out there.
Yeah, it's easier to get out there. But he is smart for doing it because right now, I'll be at somebody's house, TV's on. Oh, there's Mike Kehoe.
Yep.
And I know that these people that I'm sitting with are not engaged, but they'll acknowledge that, oh, yeah, there's Mike Kehoe. They'll say that they're hearing his message versus others because they're not advertising yet.
Well, and I believe it's June 25th is a date. It may be the 24th, and Kurt Barr, if you're listening, let me know. But early voting, absentee voting, starts, I believe it's the 24th or 25th of this month, because you start 6 weeks ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 weeks ahead of Election Day is no excuse early voting. So there are some candidates that are going to start trying to get that early vote in the bank. They're going to try to get those votes done. Democrats did really well with this in 2020. They did okay in 2022, and I think that's one of the reasons why you didn't give as many House members and you didn't flip the Senate. They did a better job of getting that early vote done. You have so many Republicans who just seem to be morally opposed to early voting. And I get it. I understand where they're coming from. But, man, this is the way the game is played right now. So you can either stick to it and lose, or you can start playing the game and start banking those votes. And from a candidate perspective, every vote that you can bank saves you money. Because once they vote, you can find out from the election authority how many people voted that day and who are the people who voted. You don't know how they voted, but you know that they voted. And once they vote, you can take them off your mailer list. You can take them off their contact list. So it saves you money as a candidate to stay up on that. But believe it or not, the last week of this month is when you can start voting. In other words, it's time to pay attention. Thanks for hanging out on the Annie Fry Show today. My name is Mike Elam. I don't know if we're going to hear from Annie later on this hour. If not, she'll give you the whole rundown. She was out flying with the Blue Angels today. It was really cool, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk about that a little bit later on. Mike Elam sitting in for Annie Fry today on St. Louis's home for conservative talk, 97.1 FM Talk.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Fry Show.
Man, if you have rental properties, you run into problems. I have rental properties, and I do. Everybody does. I love Del Walmsley, but he doesn't talk about the problems a lot. He's a motivator. So, if you're doing the business that you're going to run into issues, you got to have some people that are going to help you through those times of extreme stress, both in, just with your time and your money. You're going, oh, gosh, this is going to be a killer. Murphy Cleanout Services.com is the place to go. Murphy Cleanout Services is how the business started, but they do rapid rental renovations now. So they used to come in and they could do all the clean out if somebody left your house a mess, but they still do that. They can do everything else too. Sean and Kristen just got into this business going, we don't have to stop at the clean out part. We know how to do everything. So they expanded their business and now they do whatever you need. Little stuff, changing locks, fixing blinds, maybe some paint, to roofs, to like basement stuff. I mean, they can contract all of this for you. And here's what's great. They know your business, so they know your budget. They know that you're not trying to do marble countertops. You are there to make money. You are a landlord. You are an investor. Rapid Rental Renovations. You need to know them. Go to murphycleanoutservices.com. That's where you'll see everything that they do, and you can contact them by phone there, text, or call. murphycleanoutservices.com.
Did you know you can stream Fox News Radio on the free Odyssey app? Just download the free Odyssey app and search for Fox News Radio to hear the voices you trust. Brian Kilmeade.
Why are we so scared of Iran thinking that we're at war with them?
Guy Benson.
Get the bleep out of here. It's disgusting.
Jimmy Fallon.
Then this administration rolled into town with a checkbook.
Are all on the free Odyssey app. From the news and talk to keep you informed and up to date during election season. Listen to Fox News Radio on the free Odyssey app. That's AUDACY.
If you have a problem with the IRS, believe me, it's not going away on its own. The IRS never gives up. They have endless resources, so they control the game. Well, your tax problems can end. I'm attorney Lance Drury with the Drury Law Firm, a local tax resolution firm with an A-plus rating from the Better Business Bureau. I've handled thousands of IRS cases over the last 15 years. So when you hire me, you won't be speaking long distance or sending money to some TV pitch man that's riddled with consumer complaints. Your first visit is completely free and confidential, and I'll tell you on the spot exactly how much it will cost. So call me, Lance Drury, at 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120. Or go to Lance, DRURY law.com. If you have IRS issues, you need a local attorney. You need me, Lance Drury.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
House, it does a couple of things for you. It beautifies the house and it protects it from the harshest elements. And boy, do we see those here in the greater St. Louis area. You get instant curb appeal. It will stick to anything. Rhino Shield is the answer, no matter whether you're painting a home or a church or a business or a condo, because it's 100% waterproof. It takes care of the outdoor maintenance on whatever is on the outside of your home. The brick, the block, aluminum, steel, stucco. They can put this on with the 2 to 3 coat process. They're there about a week, and they do a great job. A lot of businesses have done it in the area. Several Firestones have done that. Vantage Credit Union over the years, Harlan Packaging down in DeSoto. Call Darren today and schedule your free estimate. 877-25-RHINO, easy to remember phone number, or go online today at 877-25-RHINO. AnnieSaveMoneyTalk.com.
You've listened to 97.1 FM Talk. You've heard of Doug Voss of Voss Financial and Safe Money Radio, as he has been a staple as the financial expert on the station for many years. You can hear him on Safe Money Radio several times a weekend right here on 97.1 FM Talk. And you can talk to Doug Voss directly. Here's his number. Call Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That is 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through D.H. Hill Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for the Honor Flight today at gslhonorflight.org. And for heating services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
Odyssey is your home for all the audio that matters to you. Download the Odyssey app today to listen to 97.1 FM Talk, even when you don't have a radio. Always streaming at 971talk.com.
Look around your world, pretty baby. Is it everything you hoped it'd be? The wrong guy, the wrong situation, the right time to roll to me. Roll to me.
It is the Annie Fry Show on 97.1 FM Talk. Mike Elam sitting in for Annie today, who went flying with the Blue Angels up in the wild blue yonder. Somebody else who took a flying leap is running the board today. So our newly married. Now, when did you get married?
That would be this past Saturday.
So Ethan got married this past Saturday. How long have you guys been together?
About 2.5 years.
Okay, so reasonable time. You didn't drag your feet that much. Well done. That's unusual. Now, I shouldn't ask you this, but how old are you guys?
I am 23. She's 24.
So good. My wife and I were similar, flipped age. I was 24. She was 23 when we got married.
Me too.
Were you really?
Not 23 and 24. I think we were 24 and 5. But
Okay.
I mean, same thing.
Right in that same area.
Yeah.
You know, what's kind of funny is my 27-year-old son was talking about the other day how many of his friends and my 21-year-old daughter said the same thing. How many of their friends have gotten married? And they're like, wait, we're supposed to be, millennials and Gen Z. So they're not supposed to be getting married, but yet here you are. So I'm curious, did you get a lot of advice before you got married?
Oh, I got heaps of wisdom and advice, and I have to say, probably a good 80% of it came from the Annie Fry Show.
That was
live
while I
chat
was
feed.
gone, right?
That was while you were gone. I was playing Wiggins. I was in your seat. Hope it was warm for you when you came back, by the way.
Is this while you were in Japan?
No, this was just last week, wasn't it?
This is while you were in Pigeon Forge.
I was in Pigeon Forge.
This was my sayonara to
single
work
life.
before
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, that too.
Yeah,
but,
and this is your honeymoon right now.
Yeah, this is exactly, and I wouldn't rather spend it with anyone else.
Thank you.
No one else I'd
Clip
rather
that.
spend it with.
Clip that, send it to your wife. You just text her that you just said it. I don't want to go through the trouble of clipping it. Just tell her.
Yeah.
You're going to have to fess up to it.
Do we have divorce attorneys on the station? I don't know.
You got to tell me, since I wasn't here. I heard about this after the fact that you guys had done this, where everybody kind of chimed in and gave you marriage advice and Trisha baby advice.
Correct.
What happened? I mean, was it all online? Were people calling in? How did you guys do it?
No, it was all through the live chat.
Through the chat? Okay.
Yeah, all through the live chat. But I mean, there was quite a bit of it, and there was a lot of very sincere answers. And there was, I think the most common one had to be that even when you're right, you're not. Along the lines of that, or she's always right. Happy wife, happy life.
Well, Scooter had that great advice of don't sleep with porn stars.
Yes, Scooter did have that.
There you go.
And then there was one that
works.
said don't sleep with interns named Monica.
Thanks,
that was
Hunter.
another one as well.
So we appreciate that.
Yep. So there was a couple of those ones that was really good.
Not sleeping with interns general.
Yeah.
Is a really
You're
good.
going to say the name probably isn't the key
Doesn't
thing
really
there.
matter.
Well, okay, well, this is good to know. So thank you for passing that on. I appreciate that. There was one that said it was along the lines of don't light a cigarette that's in her hand when she's asleep. Almost implying that if she's awake with one in her hand, you can. I thought that one was a little bit odd. My favorite one of the day, though, was always take advice from online chats. That was my favorite one of the day.
Was there
always
any,
take advice from online chats?
Was there, aside from the funny ones, was there any real advice that you're like, oh, yeah, that's pretty good?
Yeah, like I said, there was a lot of, don't ever stop dating. Don't ever, stop having intentional.
Meaning each other, not other people.
Yes, correct.
Yes.
Yeah,
we should be specific about that.
Don't ever end the intentional time together. Make sure to always prioritize that. Always. There was a lot of just honor and respect, and what women in general tends to be. For lack of better terminology, love languages for them, how to love them well. So there was quite a few of those as well. It's funny, going into that the day before, Annie had asked me, what are your qualifications for taking advice from people on this? I'm like, well, a lot of it has to do with, do I know them? Where do their values line up, their beliefs? And if they do, then I'm much more inclined to actually take that wisdom that they share with me and apply it. Otherwise, maybe I'm just giving it, all right, thank you. So, of course, all these people in this live chat, that if they're watching this show, there have to be good quality people. So
well, they're
I just
informed and intelligent.
Everything that I heard, I just took it all. All of it.
So you're 4 days into marriage.
It's burning to the ground, Ryan.
How is this playing out? Yeah. No, really, because I remember I started a job, a month or so after I got married in radio, and you were already here. And I remember, the only couple things I remember is, one is walking into, I think it was a job interview. Like right after I got married, I went for a job interview that I ended up getting the job and worked there for 7 years. And they said in the interview, hey, how long, I said something about being married, and it's kind of weird, and they're like, oh, how long you been married? And I was like, oh, like 2 weeks. And they were like so shocked by that. And I think what it was I kept fiddling with my ring because I hadn't been wearing.
I'm fiddling with it right now.
Are you?
Does it
feel
can't
weird?
Stop. You feel so weird.
Right? It takes like a month before you start to just sort of forget that it's there.
Yeah, I've been playing with it. I've been playing with it like it's a coin, and like I've been
So this will show you when you've had one on for 33 years, it doesn't come off.
I was gonna say it doesn't look like that thing's coming off.
No,
unless your ring finger comes off with it.
Unless I lose a lot of weight, that thing is that's.
She's on there.
Look at that. Look at I just took mine off.
Yeah, I have tried.
I only take it off at bars.
So mine.
I'm just kidding, honey. I take it off in a lot of other places too.
It's not just in bars. That ain't going over the knuckle, man. That is
No,
there,
she's locked
right?
in there for good.
She is. So,
I would be doomed if you can, since you can't take yours off. You can't see.
You've got.
I have the tan line.
You do.
So there's no way I could get away with anything.
No, you're stuck.
Yeah.
It's funny. So my wife watches Everybody Loves Raymond on a regular basis, right? So in the evening we're getting ready. So it just so happens that last night was an episode where I guess Ray lost his ring. I didn't see the first part of it. So I came in.
Kooky situations he finds himself in.
I know. Go figure. That Ray, he's so kooky.
Lost his ring.
So he's evidently, he was out and about, and this girl walked up and basically propositioned him. And he's like, oh, I'm married. And his brother was there. So, of course, there's a fight that happens with he and his wife when he gets home because he was very happy about the fact that some other woman found him attractive after all these years. So that's in your future, right? The fights that happen from nowhere where you go, wait, what? So I saw a meme the other day on Facebook that said, honey, I just want you to know you're right. And she goes, we haven't even started a conversation yet. He goes, I know, I'm just trying to speed this up. The game's coming on.
Ethan, I know that you're only 4 days in, so I'm not going to ask you to like air your dirty laundry and figure out what's going well and what's not.
It's 4 days. There is no dirty laundry.
We'll wait till next week.
Session.
Yeah. But I do
Dr.
remember
Wiggins. Oh, God,
one of the things, and here's some great advice.
Okay.
I think this was in the first week of me getting married. So I told like the job interview thing. But at home, we had an upstairs bathroom and a downstairs bathroom.
Okay.
And the upstairs bathroom had always, because I had roommates until I got married and then kicked them out. And now I have a new roommate who I also have benefits with.
There you go.
But
and your wife's there too.
Yeah. Tommy was not expecting the midnight visits.
Crazy.
Yeah. But
wow.
But the upstairs bathroom was always mine, and the other roommates got the downstairs bathroom.
Okay.
And so I was very used to just having my own bathroom. Well, now it's not my bathroom anymore because it's not my floor. It was kind of my bedroom and my bathroom. Well, now it's ours. And I was still doing the same thing. I was shaving and doing the same thing. As you probably know, I have dark facial hair. I used to. Now it's getting gray. Dark facial hair. So I'd shave and I would clean it once a month,
I can only imagine that conversation.
And get the vacuum out, honey. Holy.
So she was like, your sink is disgusting. And I was like, yeah. And I don't think I said deal with it, but it was something like that. And I was like, crap. You know what? That was probably the first mistake I've made. And I still remember that because she was like, what? Deal with it. And I was wrong. I admit that I was wrong. It was time to...
I could have worded that better.
Change my ways. But I still remember that because it was like that was the wake-up call that I had. And it was within about the first week that everything is different now. And I'm going to have to think about somebody now that I never did before. Because we did not live together.
I lived in a one-bedroom apartment. And when my wife moved in, my clothes didn't touch. I had this walk-in closet, and I didn't have that many clothes. I have normal guy-size clothes, right? So we wear the same thing over and over and over again. So my clothes were all spread out. They didn't touch each other. Then my wife moved in, and I had stuff on both sides of the closet
with like 4 shirts.
Right. I had a big walk-in closet, and I had my stuff all spread out on both sides, right? Because it's just me. I can, right? So I could lay the stuff out that way. She moved in with all these clothes, and I'm like, wow, that's a lot. And all I got was about 1/5 of the walk-in closet on one side. The rest of that side and all of the other side became hers. And I learned, wow, not all black shoes look the same, I guess. I mean, they did to me and still do for that matter. But evidently you need to have 7 different pairs of black shoes.
How long did you retain that 5th?
We're 33 years
Same
in.
house, okay.
So, no.
Oh.
The house is... we moved from that apartment to another apartment, then moved to a house, and now to this house. But I have about 1/3 of our closet space currently.
I've just given up on the main closet.
No,
that's yours now. I'll just use one somewhere else.
Now she moves her clothes by season up and down, right? So she'll box up clothes and take them because now we're into June. So she's got winter clothes that got put in a bin, and those got put in the basement, and she brought the summer bins up, and she's, done that. My clothes basically just stay there year round.
Mm-hmm.
I don't bin them. They stay there. They just take up different spaces.
Yeah, you're wearing the same chaps no matter what the time.
Pretty much. The one piece of advice, though, and then we'll go to break. The one piece of advice that I did get from somebody that I found out was very true. Be careful what task you take on at the beginning of a marriage, because whatever task that you take on, you will have ownership of it for the rest of your marriage.
It's locked in just like that ring on your finger, Mike.
It really is, man. I mean, if you start being the one who's taking the trash out in the beginning, you're taking the trash out for the next 40 years.
Or like regular bathing. Like if you start now, you can never stop. She's going to expect you to smell nice and not be all greasy all the time.
Got it.
So coming up, we are going to do the YouTube live chat poll results, which is, would you fly with the United States Navy Blue Angels? And we always welcome your marriage advice for our young newlywed here to help him live his best life possible with the bride that he's going to have for the next 40, 50, 60. I saw somebody the other day, 80 years.
Heyo.
They've been married.
Life expectancy's going up. Let's go for 130.
Get your advice in right now. It's Mike Elam sitting in for Addie Fry today at 97.1 FM Talk.
I was having a lot of sinus infections. My sinuses were clogged, pressure, headaches.
Linda suffered for years with chronic sinus infections.
You don't feel like doing anything. When you feel like your head is completely clogged, all you want to do is just lay down and sleep. And the pressure, it's just not fun, always walking around with a headache.
Now, her issues are gone. How? A minimally invasive procedure done in the office of St. Louis Sinus Centers called balloon sinuplasty.
I really did not know what it was like to feel like you're really breathing and not being so clogged up. I would do it again in a heartbeat, and I would definitely recommend it for someone else.
Do you suffer with chronic sinus infections, facial pain, pressure, congestion? Find out if balloon sinuplasty is the solution for you. Set an appointment today with St. Louis Sinus Centers. Call 314-332-2885. 314-332-2885. That's 314-332-2885.
Mark Cox here. Did you know that over half the appointments Window World will set this year are either previous customers or referrals from those customers? That tells you all you need to know about Window World. One thing that separates this company from the pack is that commitment to customer service and their excellent track record with both the Better Business Bureau and other reporting agencies. I am a satisfied customer. I love their lifetime warranty, and in just over 20 years of business, they've helped over 72,000 customers in St. Louis improve the look and the thermal efficiency of their homes. Right now, Window World is offering 18 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. That is a great deal. Call them right now. Get a free home estimate, 314-993-1800. They'll show you why they are simply the best for less. That's 314-993-1800, 993-1800, or go online to windowworld.com. Mark Cox here. Did you know the Rockwood School District is a great place to work? They're currently hiring school bus drivers, cafeteria workers, and custodial staff, as well as summer positions for mowers and landscapers. They have openings in Adventure Club, which is before and after school care. They offer competitive pay, flexible work hours, and a rewarding work environment. Discover the Rockwood Advantage and join an amazing team. Go to rsdmo.org/jobs. That's rsdmo.org/jobs.
Summertime is crazy time for families, and nobody can go without hot water. If you're in need of a water heater, all you have to do is send a picture of your water heater to Beast Plumbing for an estimate and same-day replacements. Call 314-500-LEAK and tell them Bo sent you to Beast Plumbing.
This is the conference championship game coming up this weekend of the Battlehawks. We're going to give you some free tickets right now at 246 here in St. Louis. So call 314-241-9797, 314-241-9797. And if you're the 11th caller, you can win free Battlehawks tickets. Now, if you're a big Battlehawks fan, a little bit of a tease, stick around for another 13, 15 minutes because Mark Reardon is going to give you a big announcement about that subject, and that's all I can say. So stick around if you're a Battlehawks fan to find out some important news regarding the Battlehawks game. 247, this time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon getting set here on a Tuesday afternoon. Yesterday, it was Dr. Fauci on the hot seat. We have more fallout from that. Today, Merrick Garland on the hot seat on Capitol Hill. All that and more coming up after Fox News at 3.
For all the times that you rain on my parade, and all the clubs you get in using my name, you think you broke my heart, oh girl, for goodness sake. You think I'm crying.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
You got to love a little Justin Bieber, right? Actually,
no, you don't have to.
I kind of like this song, though. For a Justin Bieber song, I actually like it.
It's a great song.
It is a good song.
This song is boring.
Okay. So, hey, it's been a fun day on the Annie Fry Show. It's been a big day on the Annie Fry Show. I'm glad I got to come hang out with you guys today. It's always fun when I get a chance to hang out with you guys.
Yeah, and it flows easy, so thanks for doing that. Appreciate it.
We've had a lot of folks on today. Blaine Luetkemeyer was with us. We had Mike Kehoe, Deroy Murdock. All were on the show today. We got to figure out the great marriage advice. Poor Ethan. He's, hearing it from everybody, but I like your chances. I think things are going to go well.
I feel pretty good about them. At least 55% confidence rate.
Yeah, that's like the American Like normal rate of successful marriage is 55%.
It's not. There's no way it's that high. There's no way.
It's probably lower than that.
Yeah,
it's actually.
I was
less
being
than
sarcastic.
50%,
I feel
but-
I'm not concerned at all.
So you're above average.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
I do feel, and I'm curious what you think. And we've got to wrap up here in just a second and do the YouTube live chat poll results. I really felt that the first year of marriage was the toughest because you were really trying to figure stuff out. You know, especially if you're one of those couples, like it sounds like you and I were in the same. We didn't live together before we got married.
No.
And living together changes everything. I mean, it's just the day in, day out, figuring out how you get along, like you in the sink, right? Like I used to be able to just put my stuff wherever. Then I found out that was wrong. I used to just load a dishwasher, however. I found out that was wrong. So there's all these different things that you learn to be corrected and you learn to be okay with that, right? So you learn what's worth arguing on and what's not. I had a friend of mine, we went through this, it was a marriage class they had at church. So it was a bunch of young couples who were all in this class together. And they were talking about the fact of, this guy said he and his wife did a 1 to 10 on every decision they needed to make. So a decision would come up and say, you know, we're going to get new carpeting. So he would ask his wife on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is this decision to you? And she'd be like 8. And he goes, okay, I'm a 3. You make this decision. So if they came to those things where he really cared and she didn't, or vice versa, whoever cared the most got to make the decision. Now, if you got to things where you both cared, then you really need to work on it and get it figured out. But like we're talking about, we have carpeting in our bedroom right now, and my wife wants to go to hardwood. I would prefer carpeting, but at the end of the day, I don't care. You know what I do in my bedroom? I sleep. I don't get up and walk around on the floor. So I don't care if it's carpet or if it's hardwood. I don't really care, right? We have hardwood outside, so she wants to carry that through. I don't care. If it's one of those decisions, I think you pick your battles and you figure it out and you go, you know what, this really isn't worth it. So, and the whole expression of happy wife, happy life, there is no truer saying ever in life.
Wiggins, can you confirm this?
Yeah, although my wife hates that phrase.
But it's true.
But it doesn't mean it's false. So, yeah, because like we'll see that on ads and billboards sometimes. Happy wife, happy life for usually marriage stuff. And whenever she sees it, she gets so mad because she thinks it's kind of denigrating to women to be like, oh, you're so shallow that if I can kind of buy you off, then you're fine.
But it's partially true. Men are shallow. We are. We aren't that deep. I mean, we're thinking about food. We're thinking about sports. We're thinking about sex. I mean, that's really it. That's once you get done. And for some people, sports isn't really one of those. But for you, that's definitely that may be your top of the scale. I don't know. But although you're young, so it's definitely not. But you know, there are things that you look at. For me, home is a sanctuary. I get beat up enough in my life, right? So when I'm outside of the house and you're fighting the battles of life with everything else that I do, when I come home, I don't want an area of contention. I want an area where I can relax, I can feel secure, all those kind of things. I don't want to come home and be strapped for war when I walk in the door. You need a sanctuary where you can decompress for the hardness that is the life outside of the house. So I think that's what happy life, happy wife, happy life really means, is when you get home, your wife's happy to see you, or at least she's not ready to kill you. I'll take that some days. But it's just one of those kind of things.
That's true. That is very true.
I think that's really what that means. So YouTube live chat poll results.
So the question is, given the opportunity, would you fly with the Blue Angels? The yeses overwhelmingly won this, 74% to 26%.
Would anyone here not?
I clicked yes.
I would, yes.
Yeah, me too. I mean,
by all means.
I would love to hear. Well, what are there any unique reasonings outside of
I'm afraid to fly?
Yeah.
And the physical stress of it. Because that's what Annie was going into it, was nervous about.
Okay.
She did a lot of, and I didn't know this, she was doing for months physical training to get ready for this flight. I kid you not. because apparently it's pretty taxing.
It is.
And she didn't want to pass out and she didn't want to throw up and whatever else. So that's another thing too, is that she was taping this whole thing. So Brad, I think the way they figured this out, because we didn't know until today what this was going to look like, that Brad was on the ground. And so my assumption is that he'll have some pretty cool footage of them taking off, and they'll probably edit it together. But I think she had a camera with her in the cockpit the whole time.
Oh, that would be very cool.
Be awesome.
And that's what I said. You should just stream that. But I don't know. I don't know if you actually could stream that.
I don't know what the defense regulations would be.
Think they have an Ethernet plug-in in there anywhere?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Huh?
Like, can you get a signal for that long doing that? So I think they just said, well, we'll just do it later. So my guess is they're going to condense it down to a couple-minute video, and then we'll, of course, hear all about it tomorrow.
Well, and I wonder if you fly that fast, if you lose connection. I mean,
and that too, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're over 400 miles an hour that they're doing that. If you get the opportunity to watch the Blue Angels documentary, watch it. It is amazing how close these guys get to each other. And by the way, this is the first group of Blue Angels that you have your first female Blue Angel pilot. She just joined them this past year.
Didn't know that.
You now have your first female pilot who is a part of that. So it's really cool. And they had one thing where they get the yellow and the blue. So the yellow of your plane and the blue of the plane next to you, they cross. You're flying that close together. And they get within 12 inches of each other.
Oh, my goodness.
In the diamond formation. 4 planes all flying together, no further than 12 inches apart.
If they touch, they just crash.
They're done.
Right?
Yeah. Possibly all of them, but depending on where in the...
It's funny because when you hear about almost near misses, as they call them, when planes almost hit each other in the air, they're like, oh, yeah, came within 1.5 miles of each other. And you're like, that's close?
Yeah.
I guess it is.
At that speed?
Yeah.
Yes. And, I mean, you've seen, they have a wall for Blue Angels pilots that they have lost.
No kidding.
Over the years. Yeah, because there are accidents that happen.
Wow.
So Annie's going to be back here tomorrow. It's going to be a show you don't want to miss. You're going to definitely want to take part of that. By the way, Mike Kehoe said he is a yes. And if they ever have the opportunity, don't even worry about asking. Just tell him when to be there.
Yeah,
so
that was cool.
It'll be great. Hey, Mark Reardon is coming in next. He has got a whole big lineup show, and he's got a big announcement that Ryan was talking about with Battlehawks that is coming up. Thank you guys very much for always being so welcoming. Thanks to Annie Fry's chat poll, folks, for checking in. I'm Mike Elam. Have a great day.
All right, summer's just right around the corner, so it's still not too late at all to be proactive on your air conditioning system. 1, to make sure it's ready to go, and 2, if you were thinking about replacing your system last year or the year before, still good time, good pricing, 0% on the equipment without the price increase yet that's coming here taking an effect. So if you're like to be proactive, call me. One easy number, Missouri and Illinois. That number is 314-293-2600.